What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Monday. My name's Chris Weiser, coming to you live from the beautiful, gloomy, raining Austin, Texas today. It's actually not very warm. It's
not warm.
56 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's see what we got for a Fahrenheit. Oh, by the way, hi, Lindsey.
Hi, hi there.
Lindsey's here. That was very not very nice of me to do.
Typical Chris. Typical Chris.
Balmy 13 Celsius here, so I had to do the conversion for our international folks today. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Monday. What was that?
That's warmer than it was last week. Last week it was like in the
it was right? Really cold last week here. It was like below freezing here. It was roughly, I think we got down to like 12.
That's terrible.
Which is below 0 Celsius. So Anyway, I have my amazing marketing coach, Lindsey Badillo, here with us today. Good to see you, Lindsey. I was going to introduce you. See, I'm there now.
We're getting
How you
there.
doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm doing great. It's actually, so I'm in Florida, and it is also warming up here. It was so cold yesterday, I didn't even leave the house. Like, I went out like once, and then I was going to get out again, and it just didn't happen. So I made soup and stayed indoors. So I'm very glad to see it warming up today a little bit also.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm in the office. So people think this is a fake background, by the way. This is really real. Like, that's my real office. It's like one of those fake looking backgrounds from I think either Microsoft. Like, I think the Teams background kind of looks like this, but this is our real corporate office that I'm at right now. Kind of doing some remodeling and some moving around stuff here, but I got conference room here. I got podcast studio right there. A lot of cool stuff. So we have a great webinar for you guys today. Some really cool things that we're going to be doing over the next quarter, and a cool little cadence change that we're going to be doing here in 2024. We have our webinar here today that we're going to be doing called 3 Secrets to 10 New Leads Per Month in Your MSP. So Lindsey and I have done today's content before, but the cool thing is we're going to come back next month, do a brand new topic. Then we're going to come back in March and do another brand new topic. So every quarter, we're going to be doing different topics for you guys. That's a little bit different. So I'm really excited about that. Lindsey, we picked our topics. Do you remember what those were? I don't remember off the top of my head.
That's a great question. So as we go through today's training, you all are going to see how we're going to talk about marketing and lead generation at a very high level, like 50,000 foot view. And then over the next 2 months, we're going to break some of those topics down. So next month, we'll be moving into messaging and list building, more specifics, like how to build your list, what goes onto your list, how do I hone in my messaging. And the following month, we'll go into actually outbound marketing. So rather than waiting on leads to come to you, how do I really get out there? What needs to be in my scripts, talk tracks, follow-up messages, sequences, things like that. So today we're going to talk about high-level strategy, and then the following 2 months, we'll break down those concepts even deeper. So really valuable trainings coming up.
Great. Yeah, great. So I'm pumped about that. We're going to have some prizes for you guys that are live with us today. We've got about an hour and a half of content, give or take. I'm going to go over some theory in the beginning. So if you guys have seen me talk a little bit, I know some of this that I'm going to talk about in the beginning isn't necessarily marketing related. I get it. I understand that. But what's really key is that you need to understand that the MSP market is changing. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, kind of go through these different things. And then Lindsey's going to come on and talk about marketing. And again, we're going to get deeper into the weeds in February and in March. So if you're paying attention to our content at all, we're streaming. We're live on Streamyard right now, webinar, but then we're streaming to multiple Facebook groups. We also got LinkedIn. We also got YouTube today. So we got a bunch of good content. If you're watching at any of those streaming platforms, you can comment. We can see your stuff. You can also come back and watch this live wherever you're watching it right now later. So if you want to do that, it's kind of being, as it's streamed, it's live on any of those platforms. So it's really cool. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Also, we got some people all over the world here today. We got Sydney that's coming hi, saying hi. We got Buckinghamshire, UK. We're going to be over in the UK. Lindsey and I and Maria from our team are going to be over there across the pond in spring. So you guys that are paying attention from the UK, we're going to be there for one of our road shows. We also got Ontario, Canada. We got a Packer fan, probably Max. Max, I'm from Oconomowoc, buddy. My parents live in Oconomowoc, which is like 40 minutes from Madison. So that's cool. They still live there. We got Chicago. We got Calgary. We got South Florida. We don't want to talk about you South Florida people because I'm cold right now. I'm in South Texas. So we got another Florida here. Lindsey's in Jacksonville, so you guys know that. Got a New York City, so it's cool. Good to see you guys. Got a Nashville, got a New Zealand. We got people from all over the globe with us today. That's awesome to see. So, okay, I'm going to get started on my content. Lindsey's going to come back up in about 10, 15 minutes here, and she's going to do a bunch of training and education. So please get your notepads ready. If you have questions, please ask them. You could be active in the chat. This is a live broadcast right now. Just so you guys know, it is 3:06 p.m. on Monday, January 22nd. Just so you guys know that. So this is a live webcast. You're going to be doing stuff with you guys live. So, okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Let me just get all my stuff ready here. Again, if you guys have questions, Lindsey, you can man the chat for me too. Just as I'm talking, if you don't mind, because I'm kind of presenting and we're going to go through some of that stuff. So I got a little bit of housekeeping stuff and then we'll get rolling. Okay. A couple quick things as we go today. First of all, my promise to you, Lindsey and I are going to show you why times have changed in the MSP industry and why also, and this is what I'm going to focus on in the beginning, why this is the best time ever to make the most money in this industry. Now, I have some MSP owners come to me and say, I'm in business to be a good tech. Okay, that's fine. If you're not in business to make money, if you're not okay, that's fine. Maybe this doesn't apply to you, but I started businesses so I didn't have to work for somebody. That's just me. I think that's most of you guys. So if you're only in business to be a tech, maybe don't pay attention to my stuff, I guess, but I'm in business to make money, so I'm going to show you how to make more of it as an MSP owner. I'm going to show you that you can charge a lot of money for MSP services, $300 per seat. I'm going to give you a couple caveats to that. This does not mean we're scamming people. This does not mean that you're ripping them off. This does not mean that you're doing unethical things at all. Had somebody come back to us literally in the last 2 weeks and say, you guys are doing unethical things, teaching people how to charge $300 per seat. Here's the deal. We're teaching you how to actually charge the right amount. Now, we're also going to go in and say, deliver a full stack. Deliver the best in-class service you can deliver. That actually probably means we're teaching you how to be better MSPs, because the big challenge in the MSP industry, literally for the last 5, 10, 15 years, has been we're letting the clients dictate the path of support, so we're not doing the things we should. I stood up in front of IT Nation crowd and I said, hey, if you had unlimited budget, would you put in the good, the better, or the best at your client? Lindsey, you were there for that. How many people said, no, I'd put in the crappiest? They all said, I would put in the best. But for some reason, the last, again, 5, 10, 15 years, we've allowed the clients to dictate the path because we don't know how to sell and we're afraid to charge them and we don't have a smoking gun. Cybersecurity is that smoking gun, guys. I'm going to show you some of that, okay? Lindsey is going to show you how to add at least 10 qualified leads to your sales pipeline every single month. This also means without complicated sales funnels and landing pages or expensive Facebook or LinkedIn or Google ads. This is really important to think about. We're going to show you real skills today, real strategy today that our very own clients. Lindsey runs an entire program in my elite coaching system called the Marketing Machine. It's a 7-figure MSP marketing machine. Lindsey built it, runs it, is a machine with it. And we teach this every single day to our own client base, 400 plus MSPs that are active in our system, running it, watching it, learning from it, evolving, growing, and they're using it to generate leads for their own MSPs around the world. So these strategies you're going to see not only from what I'm going to talk about with risk and cybersecurity work in the States. And yes, Lindsey and I are in the States, but it works in Canada, works in the UK, works in South America, works in South Africa. We got people all over the world, works in New Zealand, works in Tasmania, works in Australia. So it works everywhere is my point. Concepts matter. So pay attention. Okay. So get ready to take notes and take action. If you guys pay attention, if you stay until the end with me today, we're going to be giving away multiple prizes. One winner is going to get a $100 Amazon gift card. Again, this can be Amazon for anybody in the States. If you're in Canada or anywhere international, I'll just give you PayPal cash. Okay. Just so you guys know that. So you can redeem that. You will have to volunteer, actually state your company email. If you have a Gmail, we're not going to honor it because we've had a bunch of scammers in lately. Not happening. Not Gmail, not YouTube, not Yahoo, not MSN, not Hotmail. Nope. You got to have your company email that we can verify, just so you know that. So if you're here as a scammer, sorry, it's not going to work. Another winner is going to get a $75 Amazon gift card, but everybody also is on the webinar is going to have an opportunity to earn a $50 Amazon gift card by booking a call. So you have to stay until the end. We'll show you how to do all that stuff. We'll be here in a little bit. Again, you have to stay until the end. Also, pay attention, which means put your MSP hat off. Just take it off for a little bit. I understand you got a lot of stuff going on. I understand we have tickets. I understand we have help desk. I understand we have staff walking in our rooms, blah, blah, blah. Shut it down for an hour. Trust me, they'll be there. It works. I do it all the time. I just ignore Lindsay's calls. She calls. I got
silent. DND.
Put her on. In fact, I just put my teams on D&D. No disruptions. That's how it works. No distractions. If you give Lindsay and Chris the next 45 to 60 to 90 minutes of your time, it's going to be worth it. You're going to learn things today that you can actually take and execute. We have hundreds of people registered and on this webinar right now, so please pay attention. If you don't know me, my name is Chris Weiser. I was an MSP owner for over 10 years, just like you guys. I started up as a one-person shop. I started out me. In fact, I was a computer store in 2000, transitioned over to a B2B MSP, started out with a hourly contract for an orthopedic clinic. Had a 70-employee orthopedic clinic, built that up, grew it, helped me scale, helped them scale. We did stuff together. And by the time I sold the company in 2015, I was almost 30 employees, $300K a month of MRR, did a really good 7-figure exit, super happy about all that. But one thing that I realized is that the MSP market was missing something, namely how to sell for the right amount. Sell your services, not necessarily your business. That's key too, but how to sell your MSP services for the right amount. So I built 7-figure MSP, and that's really where this came from. So now I have hundreds of MSPs in my coaching program. We have 30 staff on staff here. We got a ton of really good people, got some amazing coaches. Lindsay's one of those coaches. And we also have live events. You heard me mention that we're going to be in the UK. We got 4 in the UK coming up in spring here. We have another 16 shows here in the States this year. So a lot of good stuff. And you see me on stage there. And when I sold my MSP, I decided to do this, and I built a program called 7-Figure MSP, and that's what you're a part of right now. Speaking of seeing me on stage, we have our next live event. It's just like it's 3 weeks from like tomorrow. So we got February 13th, 14th, 15th. Anybody can come. We got people coming from Australia. We also have people coming from Canada. We have people coming from the UK. Please feel free to join us. You can still register. You can get a really good account. It's live.7figuremsp.com. Lindsay, if you could throw that in the all group chat for me, live.7figuremsp.com. You can also use the QR code that's on the screen. Your promo code for that is REVGEN, R-E-V. I don't think there's an F in there. REVGEN is your promo code. So Lindsay's going to throw that in the chat for you guys. If you're watching on the recording, just pause for a second, take a screenshot of that. We'd love to see you guys there. You can also, the QR code works on your phone as well. So, okay, I'm going to move on. Again, if you already know me, you probably already know. And if you're brand new to me, something I actively talk about is selling your MSP services for $300 plus per seat, $400 plus per seat, $500 plus per seat. How many of you guys that are with us today on the chat, I want to see you guys participate in the chat. How many of you guys think that's absolutely crazy? You see a couple chat responses. Let me just bounce and take a look at the chat here. Thanks for doing that, Lindsay. How many of you guys think that $300 per seat is crazy? What's the highest you've seen? What's the highest you've sold for? Let's see some answers in the chat. What's the highest per seat number that you think is crazy?
James said crazy.
James said crazy. James Kimberlin said I'm crazy. Joseph said a little crazy. Note, most people that know me think I'm nuts, including Lindsay, thinks I'm totally insane. Yeah, thanks a lot. So, this is awesome. So like 450 from Dory. That's amazing. James said 125. James, where are you based? I'd like to know that. Some of you guys that are based. Brandon said we've done 500. This is a really good example, Don. Hey, Don's in Chicago, if I remember correctly. It's good to see you, brother. It's not crazy, but it's more than I've ever gotten. Josh said 150. James here said 150 pounds. James Kimberlin's in New Jersey. Michael Mullen said, you are crazy. Thank you, James. Michael, I appreciate that. He's spot on. Kieran said, we've done 350. Here's another one from Lance. Got one client at $300 per seat. Good job, Lance. It's awesome to see. Got one from Hendrick, more than 100 a seat in Australia, depending on the bundle. We got a guy in Sydney doing 400 a seat, just so you know, Hendrick. Got another guy in North Perth doing well over 300 in Perth. So this is stuff that we can do all over the world, guys. Depends on the team and what's included in the stack or the term. You said, Christina said 300 sounds about right. Okay, this is awesome. Robert said I want to charge that much. So I'm going to give you some baselines today and we'll talk about that. We're going to come back and do a little bit more here with Lindsey. So first of all, things have changed in the MSP market. And one thing that I want you to be aware, again, this is applicable across the globe. Everywhere this is applicable, and especially true right now in Australia. A lot of hacks are up there, especially true in the States, especially true in Canada. Your higher population areas are really getting attacked. Businesses are not prepared. So when we talk about that, think about how those businesses think. Think about what their mindset is around IT support. Think about the decision makers at your clients, at maybe your ideal clients, and think about what their mindset is around IT support. They still treat IT, help desk, on-site services, break fix, all these things, they still treat that like a bargain basement service. And I want you to really think about this in their heads. What's the decision makers thinking? And I want you guys to, again, throw this in the chat for me if you have any comments on this. I would love to see it. How many of you get MSP prospects telling you that you're just too expensive? This is too expensive for me to work with. Let's see what we got in the chat here. There's Hendrik saying we get $2.99 per seat for servers in Australia. So that's really good. How many of you guys still get MSP prospects telling you that you're too expensive as an MSP service? Let's see what we got here. Lindsey, any comments from you while I'm waiting here?
Yeah, no, I think this is great conversation for us to even just be real about these numbers and it is, everything is different in different areas. But I always find it very fascinating how it doesn't matter where our clients come from or what areas of the US or areas of Canada, wherever that they're from, we see these consistent trends. And if you have your messaging right, and if you're doing your marketing right, you're talking to the right prospects, you would be surprised at what could happen in your sales process. So
agreed. And I like a really good response from Peter here on occasion, but those aren't my target customers. So Peter, you nailed that. I love that so much because you're getting that, but you're not getting the ideal client that are giving this to you. We got something from Robert here saying all the time. Don saying I've gotten that at 150 a seat. Don's in I've known Don for a while. He's in Chicago in the United States. Definitely a good market. We got guys getting 300, 400, 500 a seat there. Dan Curran said sometimes that they turn out to not be a good fit because their mind is all on money, right? So you guys, a lot of good stuff. Christina said that number sounds scary to me. Companies that have never worked with an MSP. Really, really good responses here from you guys. I'm liking to see that. So I'm going to keep moving here. So how do we fight this too cheap mindset? How do we fight this? We think that you're too expensive. So a couple things that I'm going to give you that are tips out of the box. And these are things that you can actively try, that you can put into work right now as you're talking to prospects. Now, it's important that you engage, and this was mentioned earlier, the right prospects. What a big factor is that most MSPs do, they don't charge enough out of the box. So they'll take on any meeting they can get. And then instead of asking the right questions and talking to the right people and maybe even removing some of the prospects out of the mix, they take on everybody. And then they allow themselves to almost negotiate the price down yourself because you're afraid to sell the right way or the way that we're going to talk about. And you reduce the price before you even get to that point. And sometimes we bring on the wrong people and all goes sideways. So I'm going to give you a couple tips here on asking the right questions. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. So first question I want you to ask, and this is very untraditional in MSP land. Mr. Prospect, even Mr. Existing Client, what is your annual revenue? Think about this. Have you ever asked that kind of question? How much money? And I want you to think about why this is critical now. What are hackers after? They're after the cash now. They're actively saying now, we're going to take your money. We're going to back scam you. We're going to hack into your bank accounts. We're going to get you to send the money to us. Oh, and by the way, we'll hack you and hold you for ransom, not give you access to your stuff, but we're going to report you for being hacked if you don't pay us. That's the new one. So think about how big that is. So making sure you know the revenue of your existing client is really key because you need to know what's at risk. How much money do you have in your business checking account? How much intellectual property value do you have? All these scenarios around financially focused items are really, really key because the hackers are caring about that first right now. And your job now, yes, and note, just because I'm saying these things does not mean that you discount level of IT or how good you're supporting them. But this means that you have to additionally focus on the money because that's where the hackers are going. It's really key. Mr. Prospect or Mr. Client, when was your last risk audit? Your last cybersecurity risk audit? And our sales coach, Cindy Phillips, was talking the other day with me. In fact, Lindsey, I don't know if you saw this a week and a half ago on the on our all hands coaching call. Cindy was talking about how critical it is that the MSP now needs to know your business as well or better than the hackers will. Because the hackers are patient. They sit around and they watch. They infiltrate and they watch for months and months and months to see what you're doing. And they gather and they have entire businesses that are running this stuff now. So you have to think either like they do or better than they do to get ahead of the curve. Most of us aren't charging enough money to invest that kind of capital in a client or that kind of time in a client. So you have to ask these questions out of the box. And Mr. Client, what will you do, not if, when you get hacked? We ask this question all the time. I'll go back to that IT Nation stage again, where I said, let's see a raise of hands. I asked everybody in the room to raise their hand, even yelled at a couple of people because they were sitting there with their hand down. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Lindsey, you probably remember that one. I'm like, you hand up, hand up. Who in this room can prevent all hacks? All the hands went down. Why? Because we as IT people, we all know a hack is imminent. The hacks are actively being attempted every single day. Email spam comes in. They get it all takes one click, right? So, Mr. Client, what will you do when? What's your incident response plan? Because typically, you know what they're saying? It's you. I have an IT guy, an IT company. They got my back. They're fine. So you have to ask these questions. Mr. Prospect, Mr. Client, who will you call for help when you have a cybersecurity incident? Because I'll also clue you in on the fact that I'm going to say 98% of MSPs are not qualified to remediate a full breach. Probably even higher than that, honestly. It's probably over 98%. Are not qualified to remediate a breach. Because how do MSPs remediate breaches for the most part? How do MSPs remediate virus infections, malware infections, wipe, reload, or clean? Can't do that anymore, especially not if insurance is involved, or litigation, or regulation, or anything like that. You can't even touch it. Move it to the side, build new. That's all you can do, but you're not qualified to do that because you need full forensics. So I want you to be brutally honest with your prospects, brutally honest with your clients. Pivot to the truth. Here's a big thing. Walk in the door and say, I can't stop all hacks. We have to make sure, Mr. Prospect, that we have established a pattern of behavior down the road behind us, showing that we cared. We weren't negligent. We ran cybersecurity risk assessments. We ran incident response exercises. We did cybersecurity assessments. We did stuff all across the board because we knew we put the right tools in place. It is your job now to put that in place for them. At the very least, to have this conversation with them and to let them know, Mr. Prospect, you can be ready. And here's what you guys have to do. So not only ask those questions, but you should be selling, specifically leading with cybersecurity. Now, I'm telling you these things to set an expectation of this is what you should be doing in today's market. This is also what you should be doing to get to that 300, 400, 500 seat number. Now, you have to know how to sell after that. But the bottom line is you have to lead with a single stack. And if I want you to think about the why on this, there's a couple reasons. Number one, your liability is key to protecting this. You have to be able to stand up and say, I told them about this. I did everything I could. I said, I did a risk assessment. I showed them the results. I gave them an option to upgrade. They chose not to. I gave them a letter that stated what their incident response plan was going to be. I told them where we stand. So that's really key. Second part, obviously we need to protect the client. At no point, and I'm going to state this again, at no point am I going to tell you to rip people off, charge them $300 a month. You should be putting in the best service. In order to put in the best service, you have to charge properly. You also should be profiting properly. There should be, our numbers come from a 80% gross profit margin is what we game plan for. That's now granted, that's best in class. I'm not going to debate that. Again, telling you how to make money, telling you how to charge properly, telling you the things you should review. This is all stuff we do in our coaching program. But please also understand that your competitors are going to start to have these conversations with your clients. And we have 7-figure MSP elite members walking in the door to lower priced MSP targets or clients right now. Triple, quadruple, 5Xing what they're paying, walking out the door with a contract because they're actively showing them cybersecurity and risk. But please also understand, if you get a client that you're not putting the right stack in for, the remediation firm from the insurance company or whoever the legislative arm is that's coming in is going to put these things in place and they're going to call you out. And that's one of the reasons that I actively talk about the days of active break fix IT are gone. Now, I'm not going to say that you cannot lead in to a new prospect. In fact, some of our marketing stuff that Lindsey's going to go over today is break fix geared. Like literally, that's a great way to get a paid prospect, but it should always be followed up with a cybersecurity risk assessment into a full risk presentation. So you should be geared that way. That's the key. And here's the big problem with this whole scenario, everything I just kind of outlined here. Your clients think you're already doing everything for them that they need. And if you don't believe me on this, I want you to try this. And you guys are welcome to screenshot this and come back later. But call the decision makers at your clients and ask them, hey, you guys are going to lose half the money in your business bank account tomorrow. I saw on the dark web last night or, whatever, that there's an active hack happening on your organization. What's your plan? Mr. Client, Mr. Managed Services client of yours. What's your plan? Because you have an active hack right now. What's your plan? What do you think they're going to say? So if you have any debate about what I was just saying, think about what the prospect is going to say when you ask those questions. Because I'm going to say, if I just go back on my client base, which I think we had about 100 some clients. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think we had, I don't remember. Doesn't matter. It's like 8 years ago now. But I can sit here and say, I bet 90% of my active clients would have said, you're my IT guy, you tell me. Because they think, I'll go back to this. They think you're already doing everything they need. So our job now is to show them where the holes are. And to think like a hacker. So what are the next steps? Here's a couple things for you to try, and then I'm going to hand this over to Lindsey. First of all, step one, eliminate your good, better, best. I said this in a couple of messages on the big Facebook group this weekend. It's my IT and MSP business owners group this weekend. Get rid of the good, better, best. One plan, all-inclusive stack. Bottom line, you should be at least offering this to them. Remember, we're establishing that pattern of behavior. I did a risk assessment. I showed them they needed more. I offered them the full stack. They declined. Okay, you can at least stand up in court and say that. You can stand up in front of a legislative arm and say that. You can stand up in front of an insurance company and say that. Why full stack only? One word, period. This is it. Liability. I want you to really think about this. How will you take your clients out of there for a second, but how will you refute a charge of gross negligence if your client gets hacked and you're like, I did everything I could. Okay, did you offer them this, and this? Well, they didn't want to pay for it. Okay, show me where you offered them that. Because if you think about an insurance company, they're not in business of making everybody happy. They're in business to make money, to make a profit. And if you think about how that works, try battling against a company that's paid an insurance claim out that's trying to get their claim money back or trying to avoid paying out a claim. It's not fun. I've been through a couple of personal scenarios where I know that's happened. And it's not fun to watch and not fun to be part of, that's for sure. Step two on this, every single scenario, which includes existing clients under contract right now, you have to do a client discovery risk assessment. Now, in seven-figure land, we call it a CSRA, cybersecurity risk assessment. But you have to do a full risk assessment for everybody, show them their risk. And that includes doing things like, here's your plain text browser passwords. Here's all the stuff. Here's how easy it is to get in your bank account. You don't have MFA set up in your business bank account. You know, like all these different things set up and you got to show them all of that risk across the board. Why are we doing a full risk assessment? You got to gather data. That's key. We have to find pain and we have to find those issues. That's really, really, really important. You heard some of the things I just talked about, that plain text browser passwords, not having app-based MFA on their bank accounts and all these different things. The amount of businesses that have single point login with a password on their business bank accounts is mind-blowing, by the way. But you have to find the actual risk, the stuff I was just talking about. So you got to show them all the things that we traditionally found, but also the risk stuff that the hackers are looking for. And then most importantly, we have to come back and we have to discover some emotional ties. You want to freak a CEO out? Hand them an envelope with their financial person's personal bank account password in it, or even your business bank account password that you found on their PC, because all that stuff is stored locally and there's not a whole lot of MSPs stopping that. That's how you get their attention. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to get people to lower their inhibitions towards paying money, you have to turn up the emotional ties, period. People do not excessively debate on price when they have an emotional attachment to it, period. Okay? Little exercise for you guys, and I got a deliverable for you. This is a QR code, so please get your phone or your screenshot tools ready. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to do that. I'm giving you today our seven-figure MSP Run the Play worksheet. This is kind of a walkthrough to how you get started. Lindsey, you and I were talking about in our Facebook group some deliverables that have value today. Mm-hmm. And Riley, watching this, here's a great example of giving away something that actually has value. Now, this is something that's directly, guys, that is directly out of our seven-figure MSP Elite Handbook. So when you become an Elite member, you get something like this. It's what we tell you to do. You're welcome to do this on your own. The reason that we come into play as a coaching firm is we hold you accountable. We put your feet to the fire. We actually make you do the work. You do most of this on your own if you're disciplined and you work hard. Not saying you guys are lazy, but speed gets in the way, right? So good stuff to think about. So that is a QR code for you. That is a deliverable directly, not to an opt-in, but directly to a PDF that you can take and use, okay? I encourage you to go back, right as it says there, list all the accounts that have paid you money in the last 12 months, pick 3 accounts that will tell you no to anything you suggest, run a CSRA on them, then present. Now, what we do in our coaching program, again, give you all that help. We also give you a full PowerPoint presentation and the coaching as to how to present and handle objections. I'm going to keep moving on here. Step 3, present your risk findings. Now, this is really key. Do not talk tech. Our best people in our coaching program, what's funny, some of our new superstars in our coaching program couldn't even spell MSP when they started. They started out in the insurance industry because they're knowing how to manage and present and sell risk. This is key. So instead of talking tech, highlight the pain points, show the risk stuff that we just talked about, show all the stuff you gather. How many people clicked on the fish? How many people had plain text passwords in all their browsers? How many people had the wrong stuff on their computer? All, et cetera. That's the kind of stuff you highlight. Because your job now as an MSP salesperson, and the reason I talk about this stuff is because you could have the perfect leads from Lindsey ever, which we're going to go into a bunch of stuff here. I know I'm talking a lot here, but this is so important because I could hand you the perfect lead ever. And if you don't turn on the risk light bulb for them, they're never going to spend the right amount of money. And then you're just back on the MSP hamster wheel. It's not what we want. So if you don't turn on that risk light bulb, you're never going to create that need in your prospect, period. And then actively sell your prospect at $300 plus per seat. Remember, all-inclusive seat, all this stuff is key. Now, I can already hear you guys, but Chris, I can't sell at $300 plus per seat in my market. We already saw some of that stuff in the chat. I'll say this again. People do not extensively deliberate on price when they have a real need. So if you have CEOs sitting there saying, holy crap, this is real. This risk is real. We are going to get hacked. What's our plan to get hacked? That's the kind of risk response they have to have to your presentation. And if you don't talk about these things, it's going to be the same commoditized crap that you're selling now. Nothing's going to change. You eliminate the price objection by highlighting and showing them their real needs. And yes, we want to show the physical stuff, but we have to show the stuff that the hackers care about. We have to learn their business better than the hackers know it. Think about that. Some examples of people in our program. I'll show you guys that really quick, and then I'm going to bring on Lindsey. We're going to actually do our real training. Lindsey, you ready to fly?
Yeah, yep, ready to go. As long as I can present my screen over here. Yep, all good. Yeah, no, this is really good, Chris, and it's always good. It's been, 2 months since we have had our marketing webinar, so it's just really cool to come back to all this. We have a full house in here right now, and some really good questions coming through. We are going to have time. I can't remember if you mentioned this in the beginning, but we are going to have time for questions at the end of our training today. So take note of them. They may get lost as we go through this, but just take note of your questions, everyone, and then pop them in the Q&A time slot later in the webinar.
While you do this, Lindsey, I'm going to answer a couple of these questions on the fly here.
Yeah, I'm going to try to share my screen while you do that. Sounds good.
Yep. Okay. So for Hendrik, really quick here. I love this, brother. This is exactly my mindset behind what we're doing here. Stop the fly-by-night operators entering the industry. We need some minimum professional standards to start with. 100% agree on that. Lindsey, I'm going to come back to, there you go. You got it. Okay. Ashley said, would this include for government businesses? Now, one of the challenges with governments is you're kind of at the mercy of an RFP or a request for proposal, or whatever their request process is. So I think you got to be careful who you're presenting to and who you're talking to. Local municipalities we've had very, very good luck with, because we can actually change. The big challenge is most of their RFPs were written 3, 5, 10, 15 years ago. So they're asking for the wrong stuff. So you have to kind of change how that works. We got a guy in Canada that's specifically focused on water municipality, like water places. I forget what it's how that works, but he's focused on local municipalities and like water services around Canada, literally the whole country of Canada. And he's crushing it, getting them to rewrite their RFPs and then actually representing, and he's creating this like unique market for himself because nobody else is doing it, and then they can't compete. It's crazy. So that's key. Ashley also said, what is a good tool to perform risk assessments? We use a product called Telivy. It's TELIVY.com. There's also a couple other good ones out there. Kaseya has their full plan. It's pricey, but it's decent. Also, what's that other one? Brain fart on it.
Well, I'm not the tech person, so I don't know.
Galactic Scan.
Galactic. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, don't say it, Lindsey.
Yeah, brain fart on me. So, and then here's another one. Brandon just said, I found one of the best ways to get past the gatekeeper is ask for the cybersecurity manager. So that's cool. I like that too. Yep. And Joseph just said Galactic. Yeah. So that's another good one. Okay. Let's come back and do some more questions. I'm going to shut up and I'll let Lindsey present for a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Okay. So we did get the slides to share over here. You should have seen us like the first month that we ever came into Streamyard. And we've always done our webinars on Zoom. So Chris and I in Streamyard, he's sharing his slides. I've got to get mine up. It was like a 3-minute debacle of just trying to get our slides up. So growth. All right. Happy New Year to everyone. Like I said, it's been since November since we've done a webinar. I caught the flu in December, so we had to push it to January. So here we are now. Okay, so we know that times have changed, cyber landscape has changed, and you know what? This is not the right slide deck, so hold tight.
Oh, here we go. Back to questions.
Back to questions
I'll bring the 2 screens up. Okay, let's hit another questions while Slacker's working over here.
You know what? That's what I get for saying something about having the slide.
Lindsey and I are good friends, and it's a lot of we have a lot of fun together. So, okay, so got a couple of other questions here. Here is from James. The usual story of they have nephew, family member, friend who will do it for less while they're on break from school. Exactly. Like we had a guy today that was talking about that in our onboarding. That's a great example. Here's another one from Lance, especially car dealerships. Lance, I'm going to tell you, car dealerships are now bound by the FTC safeguards here in the States. This is also now replicated in Canada and Australia. So they are now being held to a high standard. So that's key. Now getting them to actually still buy and believe it is a whole nother level. And sometimes we have to go to the point of actually reporting them, but that's a whole nother level. I really like this from Brandon as well. State the facts of your services and keep stating cybersecurity, get acceptance. I love that as well. And Andre just said here, I'm an SMB consultant. I've talked with clients about cybersecurity and they're burying the leads in the sand, or their heads in the sand. Spot on, brother. I love all that. So Lindsey, how you doing?
I'm just going to share my entire screen because it's not allowing me to. I'm also, guys, Chris booted me off of my MacBook and I'm working on a PC right now. Okay,
share your entire screen. Here we go.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my entire screen. So I won't be able to see your chat as I go, but that's okay.
I got it.
We'll do it.
I got that.
All right, cool. Present, share screen. Here we go. We're gonna
Darren just said, has anyone had success with LinkedIn cold outreach or AI email? Lindsey's going to talk about this a little bit, but what I will tell you, Darren, is we use this internally, and we've done very well with it. It just takes a little bit of time. Lindsey, we're seeing your whole screen, including the non-slideshow, just so you know that.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to present right now.
Sorry about the issues, guys.
Current slide. Okay. Is that good?
Yep. Why are you in this webinar today? Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. Yep. Okay. So I can't see you, but that's okay. So just kind of watch the chat for us.
I got you
right,
if we need anything.
Yeah. So we've had some really good conversation going, and I want us all to just kind of come back to why we are here today. So if you and I have never met, or if you've never been in one of our webinars before, I am Lindsey. I am our marketing coach here inside of 7-Figure MSP, as well as in our 0 to 10K program that we recently launched. And I like to make things very simple, or try to at least, especially topics like marketing and sales-focused marketing, because the way that we teach marketing is not to make you busy, it's to make you money. Okay, so I want us to come back to our North Star over here, which is, why are you in this webinar today? So just let me know in the chat. Chris, you can kind of read those off. Tell me why you are here. You're giving us your most valuable asset, which is your time. I know it's to see our Chris and our beautiful faces, but there's a reason why you're here today. It's the beginning of the year. You all have set your goals. You are probably moving through January, longest month of the year. And there's a reason why you came in to figure out, how can I get 10 leads a month? Okay, now this could be because what you have currently done has gotten you here. And maybe you know that something needs to change. Maybe you've heard about our live shows and you're curious about this stuff. Maybe you've heard Chris talk about $350, $400 a seat, and you want to know more about it. Okay, tell me.
Lindsey, I got some messages coming in here. We got one from Ray that said he's here to make more money. Robert is here looking to grow and make more money. Christina just said, trying to learn more about marketing, bring knowledge back to our leadership and sales. Ashley said, to learn and grow. Ted said, techniques to generate leads in the fill funnel. Ashley said, looking to reach more businesses that would be a good fit for our services. Dan Kearns, looking to reset after an interesting year and how to look at achieving that. Jay Allen said, looking to grow. We brought on a new stack. Now need to get it in front of some fresh meat. I like that one a lot.
All right.
James said, grow, grow, grow. Don said, I missed Don here. Don said, to increase my billing for my current and new clients. Darren said, acquire more clients. Andre said, so Chris, I decided a few weeks ago, actually, I'll come back to that one because that's a really good talk track. Chris said, continue to find the right customer profile. Another grow. Joanna said, marketing and growing the company. Peter said, you've talked about cybersecurity assessments, but I want to know who to do those with. We'll talk about that in a minute, Peter. We just talked about that a minute ago. And then Joanna said, we lost a major client and have to make up for it. So some really good responses here. Everybody wants to grow and learn.
There's a common thread here. It's around growth. Beautiful. Now tell me, why is the sustainability? So thinking about how I can sustain, if you want to get new growth into the door and you want to be able to scale that, why is that important to you? Okay, so why is that important to you? Beyond the money, okay, I want to make money. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to your life, to your business, to your time? Okay, because these are the things that it's going to have to push you through on a really hard day. I was actually in a podcast interview this morning, and one of the things that we talked about was how business is hard. And some days, some weeks, some months, you want to give it up. And you're thinking, I'm putting in the work. I'm doing all this stuff. Lindsey told me to go make these calls and to do this webinar and to go to these events. And I'm doing it. And it's not working. I'm 30 days in. It's not working. Well, why is it important to you to keep going? So I think that it's absolutely critical that we remind ourselves what's important, whether it's to have time freedom, whether it's to have passive income through other sources, whether it's to have something to pass down to your kids, your family, whatever it is. There's a reason why you started a business. And you have to come back to that on those hard days, because marketing is not overnight. You do not get overnight ROI. And it's very important that before we even go into the strategy of this, which we're going to, it's very important that I preface all of this by saying you're not going to put in work today and yield results tomorrow. Maybe we'll get lucky sometimes. Maybe we'll have accidental success. Absolutely love that. That's great for us. But that's not predictable and it's not scalable. Okay, so whenever you think about building a marketing plan, building a sales plan, creating a business plan, creating a hiring plan, we have to think about what's sustainable, meaning it can last me through all trends, all algorithms, all political climates, all the things that are going on in the world, and it's scalable. So no matter if I have 100 clients or I have 1,000 clients, whatever I'm doing is scalable. And that's something that we always come back to with our clients inside of the 7-figure community. Okay. All right. So write this down. Go ahead, write it down. Get your notebooks out. You can take a screenshot if you're kind of mobile right now. My job as CEO is to drive leads to and through my pipeline every single day. My job as CEO is to drive leads to and through my pipeline every single day. Okay? My job as CEO is not to answer tickets. It's not to write SOPs. It's not to be the HR department. It is not to pick up the phone. Maybe those are things that we have to do in the beginning. We have to move through that phase where we are all the things, we wear all the hats. But ultimately, your business survives on cash flow. Okay, cash flow comes from leads, right? It's your job to be the one that's in charge of that. So even if you have a sales team, even if you have a sales manager, marketing manager, BDR, it's still your job to ensure that you have a viable pipeline. Okay, so if you, and I'm sure since you're here, I probably don't even need to say this because that's why you're here, but I need us to take massive ownership of this. So whether you're reading books or you're attending webinars like this, or you're going to seminars and events, all these things, I want you to remember that we've got to put the action behind it. Okay. So whenever you leave here today, I'm going to give you tangibles. I'm going to give you actual things to go and do. All right. So it's going to push you out of your comfort zone. Number one, you can go ahead and get used to that. It's going to push you way out of your comfort zone, and you have to be okay with getting uncomfortable because this is your job. I will never tell you to go and do something that's not going to get you leads. I will never tell you, this has been something that I've came back to for the past couple of weeks now because it's a hot topic. I will never tell you to go viral on TikTok. I'm not that marketing coach. I'm never going to tell you, yeah, let's grow your Instagram to 20,000 followers. I don't care about that. I'm going to go tell you things that are going to bring you appointments. What's going to put appointments on your calendar? Okay. And it's not always sexy and it's not always fun, but it's always going to come back to this. And if you do it and you take action, it will make you money. I can promise you that. Okay. So first things first, we have to, if we're going to do the things that make us money, we have to talk about all the things that are not making us money, all the things that are not working, which is probably just keeping us busy, right? So how do we bring leads in into the pipeline? If we're just busy doing all the other things, we've got to stop being the chief doer. So again, wearing all the hats, we're HR, we're answering phone, we're doing tickets, we're doing all those other things. Because realistically, the program that Chris was just talking to you about that's inside of our 7-figure MSP elite program, that's called the Marketing Machine. This is where after you come in and you go through sales with our head sales trainer, Cindy, after you go through, you upgrade your existing clients, you move them to full stack security, you ensure that you're covered from the liability and from the risk, okay? You go make money, you go upgrade clients, make some extra MRR, then you come into Marketing Machine, Okay, this is what they're realistically devoting every single week to their marketing, at least 20 hours. If I have marketing machine clients in here in this room right now, which there's probably some in here hanging out watching the webinar, let us know in the chat how many hours you are realistically devoting to marketing. Okay, I'm curious, if you're in here, how many are you devoting to marketing? They're probably going to say anywhere between 15, 25, some even 30 and above. Okay, so you will see here some actual quick screenshots. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here from our actual clients who are devoting hours towards marketing every single week. They're presenting to over hundreds of their ideal clients in a room. They're booking appointments. They're doing webinars, lives, newsletters. They're, again, presenting on Federal Trade Commission safeguards. It's not funny, but it's ironic. I will speak to prospects sometimes with our sales team. I'll hop on a call sometimes if they're curious about marketing machine. And I'll talk about, well, we're going to go talk about FTC safeguards to prospects. And they're like, what are FTC safeguards? Like, these are things that we've got to be in the know on. So this is what we're doing inside a marketing machine. We're doing webinars. We're practicing. And then actually, the one up here by Jason, at first, he reported one first-time appointment, which is a lead that's booked an appointment with you. You're now going to go and run the play on them, quote unquote, move them into a CSRA. This would actually turn into 2 or 3 appointments from his first webinar ever. So it's really cool to see how all of these actions turn into results. Okay. But what are our marketing machine clients doing so that they're not just busy, so that they're not continuing the same patterns that kind of keep them in the same place? They're immersing themselves into their pipeline and the results. They're devoting the time to see the results. Again, it's not going to happen overnight, and they know that their chief duty every single day is to create new leads and move existing leads. Okay, that's why we are so adamant that you will not come into 7-figure MSP Elite and skip sales onboarding and go straight into marketing machine, because you can get new leads in every single day. But like Chris said, if you don't know how to convert them, or if you go back to the way that you've always sold and you're sort of wavering on, well, do I charge them for a CSRA? Do I not? Do I, run a scan? Do I do a network scan? Do I do a full assessment? And you're wavering on that process, you can best bet that your prospects feel that. They're gonna waver on their decision also. Okay, so you got to go into sales, then you move into marketing machines, that you have a process. So how do they do it? A couple of things that our clients do not do whenever they're seeing success is they're not copying and pasting what they see other seemingly successful MSPs doing. They're not dumping it all on their teams and expecting overnight results. Oh my goodness, I could talk on that one for an entire webinar. They're not outsourcing it to all-in-one marketing agencies. Again, that's a topic in itself. They're not depending on referrals alone. And I love referrals. We have a referral strategy for our clients in here, but that is not sustainable, nor is it scalable. They're not saying that they're too introverted or too extroverted or too this or too that to go out and market, to go out and network and become the face of their company. They're not hiding in the shadows and waiting for the leads to come to them. They are not soaking up tons of free info, like being here in this webinar, attending our live shows, and then not taking action on it. So whenever you're here today, make notes for yourself, go block it in your calendar, and then go get it done. Okay, millionaires live by their calendars, not their to-do lists. Remember that. And they're not sitting behind their computers spending weeks or months trying to write ebooks and funnels and business cards and all these fun, fancy things in Canva, and not actually out prospecting. Okay, so you got to jump in, you got to get your hands dirty, and you have to be talking to people every single day. So what are they doing? All right, so I'm going to move through this today. So take lots of notes. I'm going to give you some tangible. We're going to have QR codes and some links, etc. If you miss a link, we will send these out after as well. So don't worry, you'll get access to all the resources that we're going to go through. So number one, we want to make sure that we're positioning ourselves as a cybersecurity expert. Okay, so like I said, the days of selling a fix alone are gone. Okay, we now have to position ourselves as the cybersecurity expert, and we have to get into the rooms with those ideal clients. So this may look like changing who your ideal client is. It may mean, it's probably going to mean for most of us, that we have to get really, really specific about who it is that we're targeting. in our marketing efforts so that we're attracting the right people. So we're not wasting our time speaking to everyone or speaking to the 1 to 2 person businesses that don't really have the budget for this. They don't see the risk. They don't see why this is important to them. They're just not there yet. That's okay. That's not our ideal clients. Not to say that we can't work with them, we can't help them, but that's not where we're going to spend our resources targeting. Okay. Next, we're going to make sure that we're building lists, and we're getting into the offense lead generation. So I know we have lots of football fans in here. Chris, you're one of them. So funny. Chris will try to talk football to me, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Can you just tell me who's winning or losing? So it's the same thing. You have to get into the offense. We do not want to be playing defense in marketing, which means, oh, great, somebody calls me today. Cool. I now have an incoming lead. But how are you going to go out and go get your leads? How are you going to make sure that you are in control of how many leads are coming into the door? That comes from building lists and doing outbound prospecting, very sales-focused marketing activities. And we're going to make sure that we're nurturing, and really normalizing the amount of touch points, the amount of time that goes into generating results. Okay, so let's break down the very first point up here of positioning ourselves as a cybersecurity expert and making sure that we're getting into the rooms with our ideal clients. Number one, we have to ask to be there. How do we get into the rooms? We have to ask to be there, meaning that we are positioning our company as cybersecurity first. Again, it is not an afterthought. It is not whenever someone calls me and maybe they ask me for a quote on a project, I give them a quote immediately, and then I say, oh, by the way, we offer cybersecurity services. What are they going to say? They're going to say, no, thanks, we're fine on that. This is the project that we called you for. That's the importance of us having this very systematic sales process, and we position all of our services with cybersecurity first. So instead, we say, great, we would love to help you with this project. For us to enter into your ecosystem, we need to perform a cybersecurity risk assessment. And then you have a process in which you do that. Okay? It's not an if you're interested, and it's not a maybe later we'll talk about that. It's this comes first. And you know what that means also? I keep pressing the arrow button. What that means also is that we have to get really comfortable with hearing no. Okay? And we cannot internalize what a no means. And now I know that may be difficult if we are in a tight spot for cash, or if we're trying to make it or we're trying to pay the bills. I get that, which is important that we put yourself in your MSP, that you put yourself in a place where you have some cushion, okay? Or that you move slowly, that you go through your existing client base, you upgrade them, right? You go wherever it is that you're closest to the money, quote unquote. You go to wherever it is that you can sign deals the quickest, make some money, make some cash, pad your pockets a little bit. Then you're going to be in a better position to where you can hear the word no, and you can turn down leads that are not a fit. Okay, this is your sacred no, and it's very, very important. So
hey, Lindsey, one thing I just want to say really quick, guys. It's such a big deal that we have many of our members completely rebranding their company away from so-and-so computers or so-and-so IT into so-and-so cyber services or so-and-so cybersecurity service, et cetera. So think about that. Maybe even set up if you don't want to do that, maybe set up a separate division that's cyber first. But it's really important that you're very, very cyber first across the board.
Yeah, I was actually just trying to go and find John Hansman. He's one of our clients. I can't remember the name of his company to begin with, but it was very computer. I want to say it was Underdog. No, it's not Underdog. It was something computer services or tech or something. He went through a pretty drastic rebrand about a year ago, and it's now Truit.io. So it's not tied to any specific region. It's very cybersecurity focused. It looks very elevated. It could very well grow into be a national or international level cybersecurity company. So thinking again with the scalability in mind and being cybersecurity first. So making sure that whenever we are talking to prospects, that we are acting like the expert. whenever we walk into a networking meeting, whenever we go, to a conference, or just talking to someone in a doctor's office or wherever it is that we show up first, because hello, our faces are the first business cards that people will ever see. So making sure that whenever you walk into these rooms, that you know that you're the expert and that you carry yourself like one. So even if you don't have certifications or decades of experience, etc., not to say that education is not important, because it is. We want to make sure we're qualified, but knowing that even if you don't have all the answers right now. So I saw some questions around, well, where is the best place to get a cybersecurity assessment, and what tools should I use? That you're doing the right thing. You being in this room and asking those questions, that's great, right? Because we may not have all the answers right now, but you know that you can get them. Okay. And I think that this is what holds people back for so long, because they spend months and months and months trying to get the perfect stack and trying to find the perfect security tools. They got to make sure that everything lines up just right. Then they got to go calculate their profit margins and all these things. And they need everything to be perfect. And that holds them in this place, in that same place of stuckness, right? Of stagnation. There's no growth that happens there. So you have to know that I may not have all the answers right now, but I'm going to move forward and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to absolutely figure it out. So a couple of places that you can actually really today, this week, this month, start getting in front of your ideal clients, positioning yourself as a cybersecurity expert. And you don't have to do anything differently. All you got to do the next time you talk to someone, you say, hi, I'm Cyber Joe from ABC Tech. I help businesses protect what matters most to them. That's it. That's all I got to say. I don't have to tell anyone what tools I use, what network assessment tools, none of that stuff. Hi, I'm Cyber Joe from ABC Tech. I help businesses protect what matters most to them. What do you do? And then I've now positioned myself as an expert. Okay. Now, as the conversation opens, we can go from there. But a couple of places where you can start to put yourself in front of more ideal clients, where we can start to get in front of the numbers part of our marketing. And I like to say that marketing is really made up of two parts. We've probably all heard this old saying, marketing is just a number. Sales is a numbers game. Yes, that is true. It is a numbers game, but it's also a messaging game. It's a game of psychology. It's, am I saying the right things to the right people? So this piece is going to cover your numbers. Let me make sure I get in front of the numbers. And then you have to go in and critique your messaging, perfect that messaging, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Okay. So I can tap into associations. So a couple of examples: municipality associations, CPA associations, auto associations. So these groups of professional associations where it's bringing my ideal clients together. Now, note, these are all ideal clients. These are all target clients who have a need. They have risk, okay, for cybersecurity. They have things that need to be protected, or they are bound by certain levels of compliance or compliance. Podcast interviews. So this could mean that I'm going into podcasts or YouTube channels that my ideal clients are listening to. So business, travel, finance podcasts that my ideal clients, whether they're lawyers, doctors, CPAs, deans of colleges, whoever they are, they're listening into these professional podcasts. I could then go in and serve as an expert on these podcasts, put my message out there, put my free deliverable, my first time appointment booking link into these podcasts where I am now guesting, and then pull leads in that way. Business networking event. I think that most of you in this room are probably already doing some level of networking. It is very important though that you're doing it right. So making sure that you are positioning yourself as that cybersecurity expert, and that you have a very, very clear call to action inside of these events. So making sure that your leads know that, hey, to book with Cyber Joe, I need to go schedule a cyber strategy session with him. I need to go get into that first time appointment, where then we can talk about next steps to work together. So very important that you're being clear on that. Educational institutions. So this could mean that you're going to speak at colleges, the boards of education in your area. We can do community breakfast. So hosting a breakfast or hosting a lunch and inviting leaders from your community. This is actually a part of the strategic marketing plan that our marketing machiners use. So every single quarter, they're hosting some type of in-person event that they run themselves. It's their event, or they're the expert within that area. niche specific Facebook groups. So this could mean that you go into Facebook groups such as CPAs of Florida Facebook group, or lawyers of Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, there's so many Facebook groups out there, or LinkedIn groups that are bringing your ideal clients together. Again, you go in, offer value, you become known as the go-to IT and cybersecurity expert inside of that group, another source of leads. And then SMB referral training. So meaning that you go into other places, you go and partner with insurance agencies, or even other break fix shops, other companies that are not necessarily doing the things that you're doing, printer and copier service companies, other technology services, marketing agencies. You then go in and you offer referral training. So, hey, if you send me this referral, I'll go in and do a training for you or for that business that you refer to us. And so then you're opening up your incoming lead opportunity just through referrals, right? Like I said, we're not against referrals. We like that, but there has to be strategy behind it. Okay. Anything that you would add there, Chris? Anything that worked really well for you whenever you were growing your MSP?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading a comment. I'm sorry. Say that again.
That's okay. Anything that you would add here, and I know that you've actually spoken about this several times, anything that worked for you whenever you were growing your MSP, such as summits or podcasts, webinars?
Yeah, I did. So I did a few of those things. Like, namely, we did a ton of trainings in front of a lot of chambers. I also we did booths at all these industry shows. So, for example, I was in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Actually, Waukesha for our people that are from Wisconsin here. And I spoke, did a booth and spoke on stage at the Wisconsin State Bar Association, the Wisconsin Professional Insurance Agency Association. We did booths at all their shows. We also spoke on stage at all their shows. We also would actively go in and speak to their prospects. Now, we didn't talk about cybersecurity back then, but we talked about the value of cloud and the value of more keeping your data protected and all that back then. Like, granted, I sold my MSP in 2015, but you guys have all that opportunity to do that now. So all those things worked really, really well for us. I also hosted twice a year. I did a nonprofit summit. I also did a healthcare summit. Both of those you can easily do now. Really valuable to niche focus because you can target and get the people in the room that you like. And then now it's talking about learn from all of our different speakers about how to, what to do when your nursing home gets hacked, or how to do your best to stop your nursing home from getting hacked, et cetera, whatever vertical you choose. Elderly care facilities, nursing homes were really, really good for my MSP. Also CPA firms, professional insurance firms were really good for us. In fact, that's how we ended up speaking at their annual conference, because we had so many private independent insurance agents as clients. So we got asked to speak at the user conference. So that's just some stuff we did. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I like that those were industry specific, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. So here's something for all of us in here. Go ahead and send the following to your entire list of clients and or connections that you may have in your community. If you scan this QR code, or you use the link right here, 7figuremsp.link / or / I don't know which one that is, ask template. This will take you to like 5 different templates that you can send out, where you are asking for referrals to go and do these types of trainings, which we just talked about over here. So I'm not asking for referrals for clients necessarily. I'm asking for referrals to go and tap into other networks. So I'm trying to go and talk to more people. I'm trying to generate more numbers. I'm trying to get myself in these rooms with ideal clients or connectors of my ideal clients. Okay. And if you're like, that's great, Lindsey, but what do I go in there and talk about? I'm going to give you something here in a few minutes. It's going to help you with that as well. Okay. So go ahead, scan that code if you are on desktop, or just type in that link that's right there. Okay. So next up, I want us to go into and just kind of, and again, like, get rid of all of the analytical stuff and everything that tells you that you can't, and this is hard, and I've never done this, or I'm not techie enough, or I'm not into marketing, all those things. And I want you to know that maybe I don't have the answers right now, but I can get them. Okay. How are we going to build lists, actual lists of prospective clients and again, get into the offense of our lead gen. Okay, 2 questions for you. Number 1, and this should actually say 2024 revenue goal, so we're going to skip right here to number 2. Are you on track to hit your 2024 revenue goal? Are you on track to hit your 2024 revenue goal? So we're only, 22 days or 22 days into the year. And you should already have a telltale sign of this. Are you on track to hit your revenue goal? What's coming through in the chat over there, Chris? What do we see?
Nothing yet, but we'll just keep going. One thing I want you guys to keep in mind as we wait on this, notice that, and what I probably would replace with the 2023, we just came out of 2023 and we just did this in December, so that's kind of why that's there. But some things I want you to think about, maybe put Q1 2024 revenue goal and then substitute the second one with Q4 2024 revenue goal, or maybe total year revenue goal. So think about that. Are you on track to hit your Q1? And what about the whole year? What does that look like? So everybody here has said so far, we've got Alan Decker said no, Andre Payne said no, Robert Peterson said no, Hendrick said yes, which is awesome to see. Hendrick,
awesome.
So that's a good job.
Okay, so again, number 1, self-awareness is absolutely key. So the fact, again, you're in this room right now, you are here to learn, and you're asking yourself these really tough questions, that's huge in itself, okay? You are doing what the vast majority of people do not do, okay? I think it's like 6% of businesses only 6% of businesses will ever even make it past like the 3-year mark. So you even being here to begin with and asking yourself these tough questions is huge. But now what I also want you to know is if you, again, want to build sustainable and scalable and you want to double your MRR, bring in 10 leads per month, whatever it is, you have to know that whatever we're doing right now, today, January 2nd, 2024, is a direct reflection of what you're going to see in 6 months from now. So if we fast forward to June/July of this year, that's when we're going to start yielding results from today. Okay, so it doesn't matter how great your marketing plan, how great your sales process is. If I'm going to go out and I'm going to make 10 calls a day for the next 6 months, I'm going to slowly see, and I'm going to give you some numbers here shortly, but I'm going to slowly see those results compound 6, 9, 12 months down the road. So again, what I'm doing today is not going to yield results right away tomorrow, the next day, or even the next day. It's going to be 3-6 months out. In fact, in Marketing Machine, it is a standard that our clients do not change their vertical their target vertical for at least 3 to 6 months. I only give them the option for 3 months because at the end of 3 months, we can evaluate their numbers and we can say, hey, this industry is not working. I've ran this campaign 3 times now. These numbers are not converting. However, if their numbers are looking okay or starting to trend upwards, they're going to stay there for at least another quarter. Then we'll reassess at the end of those 6 months. Okay, so we're not running a campaign once. We're not focusing on this certain message for 30 days and then making a decision. We got to spend at least 6 months there, at least 3 to 6 months there. Okay, so just know that wherever you are right now, it's January, we're buckling down. That's okay. You're in the right place, right? So put in the work, keep moving forward, take action. Okay. So remember what our most successful clients are not doing. They're not dumping it all on their teams, outsourcing it, all those things. We have to be building hyper-targeted lists and having that sales process that move those clients through that relationship. So moving them to and through that pipeline. This means that Google searches are great, referrals are great, but again, it's not the sole source of our leads. Okay, we also have to realize that we got to be consistent. And even if I make a call today and I talk to, and I saw actually someone put a really cool tip over in the chat on how to get past the gatekeeper. Hey, if I'm calling someone and I ask for their, I think he said the manager of their cybersecurity manager, cool. If I get past the gatekeeper the first time and I talk to someone, I'm not going to convert the lead right there on the call. I'm still going to have to follow up. I'm going to have to give them a piece of nurture content. I'm going to have to bring them into an appointment. I'll have to follow up again. They're going to have to go probably search me on LinkedIn or Google, wherever it is. They're going to go do their research. So all these things are going to happen. Like all these multiple touch points have to happen before I ever even get them to that decision-making point of where they say, hey, I get it. Our risk is important. This is important. Yes, we would like to move forward with your services. There are so many touch points that have to happen in there. Okay. And it used to be like, we talk about these numbers all the time, and really it's kind of irrelevant. Just know that it's going to take a lot, and don't stop nurturing. It used to be like 18 to 20 touch points. Now it's like 20, 40, 60 touch points. It doesn't matter. It really, the number is really irrelevant. Just keep nurturing. Do your job as the chief revenue officer of your company. All CEOs are. Get leads in the door, continue to nurture them, period. Okay. And have so many leads coming into your pipeline that it doesn't matter if one says no. It doesn't matter if 3 people unsubscribe from your email list. It doesn't matter if one webinar flopped. It doesn't matter, because you're always going to be putting in these activities. Okay. Because what else is the alternative? What else would we do? Nothing. Okay. So
hey, Lindsey, I got one thing here. I got one thing really quick before we move on. One thing that everybody is kind of talking about in the chat is, we got a bunch of CRM comments and some other stuff. One thing I want to tell you guys, it's really, really important to remember. I know every MSP vendor out there tells you to use your PSA, your professional services automation tool, et cetera, et cetera. They're great for managing clients. Okay, that's what it's made for, is for managing clients, not leads. So definitely use some form of a CRM. One thing that we use, I just put this in, and I'll put this up on the screen. We use wisetrackcrm.com. That's our own version. It's our own branded version of High Level. It has tons of templates and other stuff built into it that are all MSP and 7-figure MSP focused. High Level, you can have native if you want to use that too, but you got to build on top of it. Then it takes a lot of work if you're going to use that raw. For us, it's $97 a month that we charge for that, or we included with our elite members. But I will tell you, I don't care if you use our stuff. Do not use your PSA. I don't care if you use Pipedrive, if you use Close.io, if you use HubSpot, if you use Keep. Use something that's a place to manage your leads. That's not your PSA. Your PSA is meant for client management. Okay.
Yep. Love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so how are we going to build these lists? So 4 main components that your lists are going to be broken down into. So number 1, we're going to be industry specific. So note earlier that we talked about CPAs, we talked about auto dealerships, we had municipalities. These are all industries that have a problem to be solved. Okay, because ultimately your clients are buying solutions, and your solution that you provide is to help them protect what matters most. Okay, their clients, their data, their money, not the products. They're not buying your stack. They should never even hear the word stack. That's just weird. They're buying the solution that you provide. Okay, so example industries that again have this need: accounting firms, nonprofit organizations, life sciences, tech startups, car dealerships, attorneys' offices. Okay, all of these different industries. And note here, I'm not saying, oh, we service the health industry. That is so broad. Who in the health industry do you service? I'm not saying, oh, we work with financial. What part of financial? Because the needs of a local bank branch, it's going to be very different from the needs of a mortgage broker's office. Okay, so they're both within the financial industry technically, but again, very different problems, very probably different compliance as well there. So we have to be specific in who it is that we're targeting, not just for messaging purposes, but also logistically. When you go in to build your lists, you want to only have that one subsector of financial, or only, and I'll show you exactly how this looks in that one subsector of medical on that list. Okay, so industry is number 1. Next, I want to have the number of seats or users. And whenever you're in a list building platform, this is going to be referred to as employee count. So if I think about the way that I'm going to charge my services as a cybersecurity first company, it's going to be based on seats. Okay. And I'll be honest with you. I like to make money, and I want all of you to make a lot of money, and I don't want you to have to work as hard for it. Okay. So I would rather you go and sign contracts with more employees, or at least target your efforts there so that you go and sign contracts that have 50, 100 seats in it, rather than having to go and do triple, quadruple the amount of work for companies that are 5 to 10 seats per company, which are fine. But again, think about all the work that has to go into it. So could I go and say, hey, my target company is nonprofit organizations with 50 users, sure, let's go for it. 20 to 50 users, great. Okay. Next up, I want to think about annual revenue. So what is their annual revenue? My recommendation is that you have a minimum for those, not to say that, again, you can't work with those that are below this minimum, but where am I going to target my efforts are at least 1 million in annual gross revenue. In fact, I'd probably bump it up a little bit just to give you some wiggle room here. We're talking 3 to 5 million minimum, and then up to say 20 million in that target search. Maybe you move upstream and you target companies that already have an internal IT department. Maybe we're talking 20 million in annual gross revenue, 50 user companies, okay? And they already have the internal IT. Now you go in and you partner with them for co-managed deals. That's an entire marketing campaign in itself, okay? And then we also want to think about geographic location. So, and feel free to screenshot this if you want. I am going to give you a resource here in a few minutes that you can take this back to your team and you all can brainstorm through this, because I know that this is, it may be a lot if this is your first time really thinking about hyper-targeting. But next up, we want to think about geographic location. So even if you are technically able to service anyone, anywhere, when you go to build your list and run your campaigns and you have a certain message that you want to target, you've got to think about, okay, are they in, North Georgia area? Are they in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Are they in, Metro New York? Like, where are they geographically so that I can build my list and I can target my message around that? Okay, because you're going to actually see whenever you go to host these trainings and you go to do your webinars and these conversion events, which is what we're doing right now. This is a webinar where we're nurturing you ultimately to bring you into an appointment. This is part of a marketing process, right? This is the same thing that you would use to nurture your ideal prospects. You want to make sure that the stories that you're telling, the things that you're talking about, it's going to create that emotional buy-in. And you're only going to do that through relevant stories, right? Through relevant messaging. So this is why I want to have all these things locked in. If we were to have, and if you think about this, if we were to have held this training and we said, here's how all small businesses can bring in 10 leads per month. Well, that's great. But would that have gotten all of you to turn on your light bulb and say, oh yeah, I need to be there. Yeah, this is talking directly to me. But because we hyper target MSPs, okay, because our messaging is specifically for MSPs to double their MRR, that speaks to a very specific type of business owner. So therefore we get higher opt-ins. Our messaging is clear. The problem that we solve is very, very clear. It's very clear. There is no, oh, can this help me or not? It's very clear.
And you can also see the copy and the language that Lindsey and I are talking about, including the chat. It's all MSP focused. So it's very, very specific. And we don't cater to anyone else. So the only thing I'll say with this is the more hyper focused your list is, the more you probably have to expand your geographic reach. That's one of the challenges. So if you're going to try and look for a really, really unique niche like nursing homes or something, you kind of got to expand your reach from your city to maybe a little more regional.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's really good.
Yep. And the cool thing about MSP and cybersecurity now is you can kind of, we have multiple MSPs in our coaching program delivering across multiple states. So you should be able to start to think scale also. You just got to think about scale in your head and not limiting yourself with no's too early.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Awesome. Okay. So, and just logistically, and this is sort of relates to like the stack talk. Chris, you always say that we are product agnostic, right? Did I say that right? Product agnostic. So we're not going to tell you have to use this product, but we're going to say, hey, these are products that we can vouch for. Like, these would work. Here are some options. And so similar with marketing tools or with list building tools, here's a couple that we would vouch for, say, hey, these could work. All of them are going to do the job. They all work a little bit differently, but here's a list of options. So Apollo.io, Instantly.ai, Seamless.ai, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Again, all of the platforms work, but are you going to do the work? That is the question. And personally speaking, my top two favorites on here are Apollo and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Actually, Chris was just a guest in our marketing machine onboarding last week and came in and did a personal walkthrough on how to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator to build lists. So that was really cool. And we're going to show you some of that in our next webinar that we'll do in February, how to break down some of this more specifically. But all of these are going to work. Okay, all of them are going to give you, as long as you have this information right back here, and you go into these platforms and you say, hey, here's the industry, here's my employee count, here's my revenue, here's my location. It's going to pull you lists, of actual individuals, okay, in real people's names, contact info, email addresses, LinkedIn URLs where you can go in and start to contact these people. Now, we are not going to cold message them and say, hey, we'd like to sell you a CSRA. It's $2,000. Do you want one? That is not going to work. We are not going to do that. That is not how this is going to work. Okay. Instead, we have a very strategic nurture process that you can follow, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then Chris, I can probably already predict what you want to say on this slide around LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So do you want to share that, or do you want me to?
Talk about it. One of the reasons I like Sales Navigator, which I think LinkedIn Sales Navigator was not in Lindsey's list 6 months ago.
That's true.
But one of the reasons I like it specifically is because Apollo Instantly Seamless, they're buying their databases from across the internet, versus LinkedIn Sales Navigator comes from LinkedIn. And if you think about who actually updates LinkedIn's lists, it's the users. So from my standpoint, it's one of the most accurate ones. In fact, Lindsey, we saw this. I built the one live last week. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I built it with you live on your training call. And all the members like, holy cow, this is really, really good list quality. We can see the people right away, and then we can export it directly out with a couple of third-party tools. So it's really important to make sure your list is current and good, because I will tell you the power of like the value of the list. In fact, I used on the training last week an example of this. We're coming up to election time here in the States. It's an election year, et cetera. You think about this. This is how important a list is. You could have the perfect campaign, the perfect ads, the perfect deliverables, everything that you know converts perfectly. And if you have a list, if you have content all built towards Republicans and your list is Democrats in the States, it's not going to convert very well. So it's really important that your list is tight and clean and good, not just dumped off of some random crap list that you don't know where it came from. It's really important. So that's why.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this is an actual screen grab of how this works and why we want to have all those specifics locked in and specified. But you can see here on this search, so this was from Apollo actually, and you can see that it's filtered down by job title. So we did all C-level executives. We used the Texas area. So we actually started out with Austin, Texas. Then we moved into San Antonio. And then we just eventually branched out to all of Texas because we were not getting the results that we wanted. I recommend a list of like minimum of 1,000. I mean, 500 can get you somewhere, but I would want to see like 500 to 2,000 on a list, which kind of goes back to what Chris was saying. If you're super targeted, you're probably not going to get the numbers that you want in one city. So you might have to kind of branch out to a region, or in this situation, we had to go all the way out to a state. We went to statewide, which was Texas here. The employee count that we had in this list was from 11 employees all the way to 200 employees. And then our industry, again, it started out with HVAC, air conditioning, and then we branched all the way into construction just so that we could get the numbers that we wanted. So you can see how you have to just play with these list building platforms. Now, what do you do whenever you get the list? Again, we are not going to go and cold email them and pitch them a CSRA right off the rip. We have to lead with value, okay? Because sales, it's just a relationship game. That's it. It's a game of building reciprocity with another human being. And you don't build reciprocity or trust from always looking to take. You don't build trust from looking at what you can get from someone. What can you get from this relationship? What can you get out of this sale? It's how can I lead with trust? How do I lead with service? How do I lead with value? How do I lead with genuity and showing, hey, this is why this is important to us. This is what we're on a mission to do. Here's how we can help you. Would you like to attend our upcoming training? Where we're going to be talking about how to protect your business and what matters most to you. And bringing them into that training, bringing them in to the events that you're putting on, giving them the deliverables, the lead magnets, things like that are going to build that trust, okay, and help them realize that, oh, is something that I need to be concerned with. What I'm doing is not going to work anymore. What's the very next step that I need to take? Which again, coming back would be that first time appointment. Okay. So let's do the math here. Let's say on a great day, and you guys are in a very difficult industry. I'll tell you that you're not in the easiest industry to close, but let's say at a 10% close ratio. Okay. If I wanted to close a contract per month, right? If I wanted to close a contract per month, just put a 1 in the chat if you would want to close 1 contract per month, 1 MSP contract per month. And let's say that your minimum contract per month was $2,500, considering it was like a 10 person business, right? 10 seat deal. Okay. If I wanted to close a contract per month, what would it take? I would need to have 100 conversations or 100 leads that are in my ecosystem, 100 people on a webinar, 100 calls that I'm getting on, 100 people at a networking event or a trade conference that I have personally spoken with. Then I'm going to bring them to a first-time appointment. So out of those 100, 10 of those are going to move forward to a first-time appointment. Now, are these numbers always perfect? No, you may get more than that, especially if you're at like a networking event or somewhere. You can book probably 50% of those. But let's say that 10% of those move to a first-time appointment. Cool. That's my cyber strategy session. That's that very first 15-minute appointment. I'm just now getting to know you. I am not going to pitch my CSRA on this call. I'm going to have to invite you to another call. There's a whole process behind this, which we teach inside of our program. But I'm going to get you into that FTA. At which, once you go through our discovery process, 2 to 3 of those will move forward to a CSRA. So at that rate, out of those 2 to 3, one of those will say, this isn't for us. We're going to go with the cheaper option. We're going to go with my brother-in-law's cousin that does this for a quarter of the price. No big deal. Thank you. See you. Bye. Cool. The other one will say, hey, this sounds great, but we're going to have to put it into the budget for next quarter. Thank you. Let's follow up. Cool. No big deal. We're going to go put them into a follow-up. We'll meet back in 2 months. Great. The third one are going to say, yes, I see this. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. We're ready to move forward. Let's sign the deal. Okay. So if I want to close a contract per month, I need to get 10 leads into the door, and I need to be having 100 conversations or 100 people in my campaign every single month. Okay, so this is where the numbers piece, so remember we had marketing is broken down. I got psychology, I got the messaging, I got, am I talking to the right people about the right thing? And then I've got the numbers. So this means I have to be doing calls. I've got to build this list. I got to have enough people on that list. And then I got to be moving them into and through my pipeline. Okay, so a couple of reminders here. We want to hyper target and build your list, not buy them. Do not wing it, and do not rely on referrals alone. So let's take some action.
Do me a favor. Back up one slide really quick. I just want to talk about this. So you guys, most MSPs are sitting on number 4. They're relying on referrals alone. That is not a growth strategy. I actually have called this for the last 10 years growth by accident. So you have to think about your own strategy. Now, can you grow an MSP on referrals alone? Sure. Yes, you can. I'm not going to debate that. Some MSPs are really good at it, but it is not predictable, it is not controllable, and it's definitely not scalable. So think about how difficult that is, and think about how your growth has proceeded. And for every time I say that, I get somebody texting me or messaging me, you're dumb, I grow my MSP on referrals, blah, blah, blah. That's fine, great, awesome. But for the most part, it does not work. And I look at the size of 7-figure MSP now, like Lindsey, you see how much we actively sell, how much we actively market. Think about if we had to rely on referrals alone, even if it was a major focus. I don't care how good you are. It is not a growth plan. So it's a great to have. It's not a growth plan.
I will also say that one thing that every single person on our team has some level of accountability to driving revenue. Every single one of us. So as coaches, we have to make sure that we're accountable for client success, because that leads to referrals and retention. Our sales team, of course, our marketing team, of course. But I think that it's so important that every single person on your team is responsible to some level for driving revenue for your company. If they're not making you money, what are they doing? Costing you money. So think about that as we're making hires and growing. Okay. So tell me in the chat, who will you hyper target for the next 6 months? So really quick, let me know. We talked about industry, gross revenue, employee count, geographic location. Let me know in the chat over here. Boom, 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 fire it off. Who are you going to target? What ideas do you have right now? I think that the key here is, again, take action. Do not get stuck in perfection paralysis and thinking that you have to have all the answers and everything figured out. Just fire it off. Let us know in the chat. Do not say
some really good verticals I had, guys, just so you know, some ones that I really, really liked. I liked nonprofits. Some people say, oh, they don't have any money. They got money. Trust me, they got plenty of money. You need to go in there and run the show and especially focus. We did really well with them. We also did really well with elderly care facilities, nursing homes, lots of cash, multiple locations, endless supply of clients. Like, it's a big deal. We did well with wealth managers. We also did well with professional services agencies, specifically independent insurance agents and independent accounting firms. We did really well with both of those. Couple in the chat. Peter said manufacturing. I'll throw that up on the screen. Josh said credit unions. Josh, we did well with credit unions also. They're also nonprofit usually, so they kind of fall into that. Jay Allen said accounting firms with the FTC safeguards. That's a big one. Huge about that. Christina said CPA firms. She also said manufacturing. Ray said law firms. Big fan of all of them. And note, we're not saying pick only one and make your MSP all about that, but just focus your marketing on one if that's your goal.
Yep,
a couple other ones in here. Here's another question that just came up. You may want to answer this on the fly. What revenue do you think a company needs and how many users to result in a $2,500 MRR? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you right now. This is my math on that. I'm going to pick up my Cindy Phillips supercomputer and I'm going to say 2,500 divided by 300 equals 8 users. So that's around 8. I'd say 8 users to get there is what, and our members are doing that all day. Okay.
And
some really good comments here. Asset managers, another one from Don, healthcare, legal, and nonprofits. Another one from Judith, construction and biotech. Another one from Andre, asset managers nationally. Really like that one.
Yeah,
really,
all those are awesome. So specific too. I think that all of those so far have been like very specific. It's very clear to me.
Great.
Who it is.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so what I've got for you, next slide here, is 2 things. You have the 7 steps, and we're going to talk more about the specifics of this in next month's webinar. But you're going to see here the 7 steps to actually move in your leads into and through your pipeline, just more specifically what that means. You also have a messaging sheet on the other, I think it's like the 2nd page of this resource. You can scan this code or use that link right there, 7figureMSP.link/CPP 7 steps. And that's going to help you specify your industry, your vertical, your number of employees, all those things. And take this back to your team. If you need to go take this to your sales team and talk through this and say, hey, who do we have the most opportunity to target right now? Who do we have the most clients inside of our current list right now? Who do we mostly work with? Who do we enjoy working with? Take this back, talk with them. This is a big decision. Don't stay stuck there for too long. I would get it locked in by the end of the week and then run with it. If that, maybe end of workday tomorrow. And again, remember, I want to focus here for at least 3 to 6 months. Sales or relationships, guys, it's going to take time. Relationships or trust, put the time in, put in the effort, just like with any other relationship. Okay, so now once we have those leads on the list, how do you convert them, right? Because I could go run a list for you right now. I could open up my Apollo or my Sales Nav. I could go pull you a list right now, but all that is a CSV file. That's literally a spreadsheet. What do you do with it? What are you going to do with that list whenever you get it? Well, number one, we have to have a very clear process that we follow. So whenever I have a cold lead, whenever I have a list of leads, they move into a first-time appointment. They then go to a discovery call. They then go to the cybersecurity risk assessment. Then I close the client. But wait a minute. There's a really big step here. And this is where 95% of the actual relationship is built. And it's in the 2nd step right here. The 2nd step called nurture. Okay, and it sounds really simple. Oh, cool, Lindsey, I'll just call them and I'll follow up and I'll nurture them. But like, that's great, but you got to have some strategy behind it. Okay, because my educated guess is that a lot of us are thinking that, oh, I'll get a lead that calls me or I call them for the first time, and I'm expecting them to get on the phone with me, have a conversation with me, I'll talk to them about the CSRA, and then they're going to either say yes or no right then. Okay. And what you're doing is you're selling yourself short. You're leaving a lot of money on the table doing that. Okay. So we have to make time. We have to make time and understand that there's a lot of nurture that has to go on where we're building trust. We're pre-qualifying people. So meaning that I don't want every single cold lead on that. I don't want to work with every single one of those people. I'd be miserable having 1,000 clients. Like, I don't want that. I'd rather work with a quarter of them and make quadruple the money, right? So I have to have a pre-qualification process, which is what happens in that FTA, that first time appointment, as well as in that discovery right there, that fourth step on this list. And I want to increase my close rates because I'm doing such a good job at nurturing. Because I'm doing such a good job at pre-qualification, I get a higher close rate. So maybe that 10% close rate that we talked about a few slides ago, a lot of our clients that have been through Marketing Machine, that have been doing this stuff for a year or two, their close rates are closer to 30 to 50% because they're not having to get on the phone with so many people, because they have clearer messaging. Their lists are cleaner. Their webinars are tighter. The stuff that they're putting out just resonates with the right people. Okay, so they're having to work less and again, make more money. Okay, so it's really, really important, again, that we normalize the long game. This is kind of funny. Hey, I'm not sure if 100 follow-up attempts is too much or if I should keep trying. I think that there is no right answer. So I've been asked this before. Well, how many follow-ups is too much? Or when should I stop nurturing? Or how long do I keep them in my nurture list? There's no clear answer for that. I mean, number one, if they're in your email database and they have not unsubscribed yet and they're opening up your emails, there's a reason why they're there. If they are in your social media platforms, if they're attending your networking events, if they're still there and they have not said stop and leave me alone, they've not unsubscribed from your message, there's still an inkling of them that is curious, or there's a part of them that's really interested, but they're unclear on something. Okay, because confused people, confused minds, if they're not clear, they're not going to buy. Every single purchase I've ever made in my life, if I look at my desk, I think about this water jug. I bought this humongous jug before Stanley Cups were cool. I have this humongous hydro jug, paid like $25 for it. I ordered it from this special website, but I knew the exact problem that it would solve. I was so clear about spending $25 on a water bottle that I would never lose this thing. It's bright yellow, and it's going to make sure that I drink water every single day. There was no confusion about it. So if you have people in your ecosystem and you continue to follow up with them and they haven't moved forward yet, what are they confused about? What are the questions that they're asking and you haven't answered yet? Where have you wavered in the problem that you solve? Okay, start asking yourself those really tough questions and you're going to be surprised at what comes out on the other end. Okay, so why the long game? Again, we're going to make sure we're educating our prospects. We build a brand that's based on authority and credibility. We are the go-to IT and cybersecurity company. We weed out the people that are not a fit. So meaning the ones that are just looking for the lowest price, they're trying to lowball you, they're commoditizing your services. It makes your sales easier. Again, increasing your conversion rates and removing those, we can find it cheaper objections that ultimately come through. Now, really quick, I'm just going to run through this case study super fast because I know we're running short on time. But we have a client whose name is Will. Will came into Marketing Machine in November of 22, and smaller shop. I can't remember where Will is located out of. Oh, it's going to bother me now. Super cool guy. Love Will. If you're watching, you're awesome. But life happened. He came into Marketing Machine in November, and he didn't actually run his first campaign, his first nurture campaign. It's through a webinar. Why you need a CSRA webinar is what it's called. And he didn't actually run this first campaign until March of 23. So about 5-6 months later, he didn't actually run this campaign. Now, remember the long game here. Okay. So the first run of this, it was a dry run. It no conversions, not a lot happened off of it. It was a little bumpy, a little messy. Somebody could have easily said, this doesn't work, I give up, right? Instead, he said, nope, I'm going to keep going. He ran the campaign again. Did better. He had a few attendees that came into the webinar, but ultimately did not have any conversion. So no one signed a contract. Okay, on the third time of running the webinar, about 3 or 4 months later from his first time, he ended up with an 80% appointment booking rate. And I don't even think he had that many people on the webinar. I think it was like less than 5 people on the webinar, which is fine. You don't need a ton of people there. Okay, but ended up closing over $57,000 in new revenue. Okay, so the stuff that you guys are doing, you're closing 6-figure contracts, you're closing huge deals here. So it doesn't take a lot of contracts to make big money, especially if you're doing it right. You have the right people in the room. Okay, so the point is here is that whenever, and I want to break this down for you, okay, how we're going to bring all these pieces together of what Chris has talked about today, what I'm talking about. Before Will brought those leads into his sales funnel, he had a list of ideal clients. He invited those clients into his webinar, into his lead generation nurture campaign. Okay, he delivered that training. He delivered this nurture content. He built rapport. He sent his leads, those ones that then went and booked that call with them. He then sent them to the CSRA, right? He repeated the process over and over and over again. Okay, after entering the sales funnel, he had a very streamlined process. So he did not skip steps. He made sure that every single lead went through a first-time appointment, then a discovery call. They went to the paid CSRA. We don't give CSRAs out for free ever unless they're existing clients, in which case then you can make your own decisions on that. But everyone else gets a paid CSRA, period. Then you go out and present those findings. Took his time. He did not skip steps. He had zero attachment. This one's so hard. It sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's so important that we have zero attachment to the outcome of these sales, because again, it's easy to attach your personal well-being, your worth as a business owner, your worth as a woman or a man or whatever to the results of your business. And that will get you stuck in your head. It's stuck in the same spot way more than any strategy will. Okay, good, bad, or ugly. Right? So you have to have very neutral attachment to the result of those sales presentations. So no matter how the sales presentation goes, you walk out of that room with your head held high. You walk out knowing that you did your due diligence, you presented the risk, you're convinced of the services that you provide, you let them make their own decision, period. Okay? And of course, one all-inclusive plan, which Chris talked about earlier, and we don't have good, better, or best. All we offer is this one solution. This is what we do for our clients. Okay. So I know that all of you are here. You want this level of sustainability, of scalability. So here's what I want to offer to you as, kind of like the bow to sort of tie things up, because you have your referral asks where you're going to go out, you're going to go get in front of the rooms with your ideal clients. You have your resource that's going to help you go and build targeted lists. Okay. And now last but not least, I'm going to send you, or I'm actually going to give you the link to it right here, of where you can actually take this presentation. I have notes, I have training videos in here, I have timestamps, I have walkthroughs, I have examples in this training or in this template right here. But this is a template to our why you need a CSRA presentation. So this presentation, you can go out and present to your Chamber of Commerce. You can present this to, insurance agencies. You can present this to educational institutions. You can take this to your existing book of clients, which is where I would start actually. Okay. And you can go and talk to them about, hey, cyber attacks are increasing daily. Cyber attacks are way up. Are you prepared? Okay. And you can talk about the importance of having their own risk mitigation plan. So go ahead, scan this code, 7figureMSP.link/WYNA, so WYNA, CSRA Prezzo. And my advice is that this presentation becomes a staple piece of your marketing. So meaning that it doesn't matter what campaign you're running or who you're focusing on, what target market it is. This presentation applies to everyone, to every single small to medium-sized business out there. Doesn't matter. Every business needs a cybersecurity risk assessment. I can walk into the chiropractor tomorrow and I can talk to them about why they need a CSRA. I can go to the locally owned vape shop down the road for me that just opened, and I can go talk about why they need a CSRA. Everyone needs a CSRA, period. So this becomes a staple piece of your marketing strategy. It never, ever goes away. And please remember that all roads lead to the CSRA. So quick recap, and then I'm handing the reins back over to you, Chris. It is our job to push leads into and through our pipeline. The work for this year has already begun. Every single one of you in this room are cybersecurity experts. Even if you don't have all the answers, you can get the answers, get into the rooms. Okay, so please get out of our bubbles, get into the rooms that you need to be in, get out there, talk to the numbers. We got to get the numbers in. Okay. Remember, if I want to close a contract per month, I need to talk to 100 people this month. How are you going to do that? I want to build, not buy, targeted lists based on industry, revenue, employees, and location. I'm going to play the long game. I cannot expect results overnight. I'm going to nurture, nurture, nurture. And most importantly, I do not give up, because it is for certain I cannot get the sale that I do not ask for, period. So back to you, Chris. I hope that was helpful, and we will definitely answer questions after we're finished. So I'm going to stop.
I'm going to fly into Q&A time right now. As a matter of fact, let me just share my screen out here again really quick. Here we go. Okay, so we got some Q&A time coming up here for you guys. A couple things I want to be of note. Lindsey, I don't know if you're even aware, but the FTC here in the States have actually changed their rules and some laws. Got a couple things that are really, really going to help your cause, and I want you guys to think about this. Had some really good things that were going on in the chat here related to hackers and reporting and all that. Did you know that hackers are now ransoming end user businesses that are regulatory controlled in exchange for non-reporting them to the SEC and some of these other things? So, for example, wealth management firm gets hacked, they'll actually ransom them in exchange for not reporting them. That's a big deal.
That was actually a case of it. So I can't remember who this happened with, but the company was ransomed. They did not report it. So the hackers went and reported it for them. They were like, hey, we just hacked them. They're not reporting it. Yeah. Yep.
Another thing, and I got a couple links for you guys that I'm going to share in the chat here. This one, in fact, I clicked on the wrong link. Let me just pull this up really quick here so you guys can see this. I'm going to throw this in our webinar chat here that we're live with. This is one where the hackers actually reported the hackers to the SEC. Here's another one. Here's another deal. In the United States here, the FTC has now made anybody that has 500 contacts or more. So if anybody that's affected, like 500 potential contacts, which means 500 contacts in their CRM, 500 contacts in their QuickBooks, 500 contacts in their email software, 500 contacts in their Outlook, they are mandated now by the FTC safeguards to report. So here's the link for that. These are press releases that are like, that's that active press release from the FTC, which means you have avenues. Now, I'm not saying use this as like death threats to go after people, but these are things that you ask. And this is part of our CSRA process. We're asking these questions. We're actually throwing out there like, did you know, Mr. Prospect, that if you get breached, it's mandated now by law here in the United States. And this is also almost identical in Canada, almost identical in Australia, almost identical in England right now, in the whole UK, actually. I think, well, there's kind of different scenarios, but bottom line, think about the power this has going back to my initial statements that I had. So I want you guys to think about this stuff and think about how important it is to have these conversations and to lead with this, coming all the way back to how we market, how we advertise, how we educate, getting in front of people and making sure you're leading cybersecurity first, talking about all these things that Lindsey was talking about with getting leads and marketing to them. Like so much of it now is because now think about this. The governments are starting to say, well, we have an epidemic on our hands. And most of it is because the breaches aren't being properly reported. Because literally like, what, 1 out of 20 breaches are reported now, or 1 out of 50 breaches are repeated. So they're trying to increase this across the board. So some really good stuff. In fact, Hendrik, I thought you were leaving, man. You're still here, bro? He had put in the chat that he was leaving like 40 minutes ago, and he's still here. I think he just likes what we're talking about. But he's got one from Australia that's reporting that back as well. So while we're here, any comments or questions from anybody? I know we had some stuff in the chat. Yeah, Hendrik just said he came back. So good to see you, brother. That's awesome. Any comments or questions for either me or Lindsey? You guys are welcome to comment on this or chat or question here. One thing that Judith just said back here a little while ago, I'm just going to put this on a check on the chat here. I'm not a tech person. I'm a salesperson. But her impression that she was introduced to ConnectWise is that it was more of a PSA as well. So that was great there. Let's see if we got any questions here. Any questions for me and Lindsey? We are live here. We'll be willing to answer whatever you want. And then we're going to get into a couple different things here. Got a little presentation for you, and then we're going to do prizes. Almost done.
Oh, I did see, I don't know what all happened with the CRM conversation, but I was just kind of scrolling through the chat just now, and I saw where someone dropped like a free trial to high level.
I talked about that too.
Okay. Yeah, just to speak to that, like we have our own agency version of this. So whenever you use WiseTrack CRM, which yes, is powered by High Level, that's how you get all of our templates and sequences and nurture sequences. Yeah. You're not going to get anything in a regular High Level account. So just be careful going to get a High Level account. It's literally a blank shell. There's nothing in there.
It's 100% right. It is like it's like using a blank slate. Great software, great product. In fact, we got some huge announcements coming up on an exclusive deal we just signed with High Level as well. And Lindsey, all that's signed, sealed, and delivered now. So that's awesome. So we're going to that in the next week here. But here's a great question from Jack. And Jack, this is a phenomenal question that I think everybody deserves to know. How do you approach your existing clients without throwing your old stack under the bus? So first thing I'll tell you. First thing is you go back to what I was talking about. Lead with honesty. Times have changed. And none of this is BS either. Do you, and Jack, you're welcome to answer this in the chat. Do you have to do things differently than you did 6 months ago, a year ago, 24 months ago, 36 months ago? Without question, we know the answer to that is yes. We have to do things differently now. We have to do things every single day that are different than they were yesterday. The threats are imminent. The threats are real. The regulations are also a moving target now. If I go back from 2010 to 2015, a full 5 years, we barely changed our stack. It's different now. You do not have the ability to predict what that is. So it's perfectly fine to say, look, times have changed. In fact, this is actively what we say in our sales presentation. Times have changed. We have to do things differently than we did them yesterday. Again, same conversation. We have to own that and lead it up front. Are you going to be on top of this with me, Mr. Prospect? Because I need a partner. I need a partner in shared responsibility is effectively what it is. We call it a shared bond of competence or not. And it's making sure they're aware. That's it. Doesn't mean you did a shitty job. It means you were doing your best effort, but we have to do things differently. So I want you to think about that, Jack. Okay. That's a great question. And like Peter just said here, we have evolved to meet the increasing cybersecurity challenges. 100% right. The one thing I will tell you that is really critical is absolutely you have to have these conversations. Because the one thing that's going to hang you out to dry at some point, especially with the FTC stuff I just talked about, the thing that Hendrik posted about Australia, all these governments are catching up, and it's the insurance companies driving the car. They're the ones speeding against regulation, let me clarify that. They're the ones massively increasing regulation because they don't want to be paying out crap claims anymore. That's really what it boils down to. And in fact, Lindsey, I don't know if you saw this today, but we just had one of our members just post, and I know this is getting a little long, guys, but I'm trying to give you a lot of value here. We just had one of our members just post a brand new, this is literally from 2 hours ago. I can show you right here. It's hard to see, but it's 2 hours ago on Chubb's brand new release that just went out to their clients. You guys can read that. Let's see if you can read that. But it says neglected software exploit endorsement, basically stating that if there's a period of neglect, 0 to 45 days, they limit insurance per policy period down to $100,000. So they're actively saying that if you have neglect on your software that's not been updated, they're not going to pay their claim. All these things are screaming to you to evolve. And if you're doing the same crap you were doing, not saying it was even bad, times have changed. We have to do things differently. So think about that. Okay. A couple other good questions here. Now the questions are coming in masse. Okay. Christina just said, I started taking on marketing at my company. We have a separate salesperson. I have set up reoccurring meetings. Does anyone have a checklist that might be helpful for us to divide and conquer as well for checking in? Lindsey, I'm going to defer that one to you. That is a big ask.
That is a big ask. So does anyone have a checklist that will be helpful for us to divide and conquer? So I think it's really important, Christina, for you to have an established plan of ownership. So who's going to own what activities, right? And so this is kind of where marketing and sales can cross lines because again, the way that we teach marketing is very sales oriented. So if your role in the marketing if your marketing role is more behind the scenes and you're not necessarily making outreach and you're not necessarily on webinars and you're not necessarily going live on Facebook, then your role may be more, okay, I'm going to make sure that my funnels are published. I'm going to ensure that my leads lists are created and cleaned. I'm going to make sure that they're uploaded into our CRM. I'm going to make sure that they're tagged correctly and that I'm communicating that with my sales team so that my sales team, assuming that they're doing outbound marketing, that they know, hey, here's your leads list. We need to call them. We need to add them on LinkedIn. We need to invite them to the upcoming webinar. We need to follow up with them. And then we have this flow of traffic. So it's like, okay, Christina is in charge of creating the leads list and getting everything the back end done, at which point she passes it over to the sales team. And they're in charge of doing the touch points and following up and moving them into the actual sales pipeline. Now, there are certain cases, though, and I would say over half, if not the majority, of our clients, our marketing folks inside our program are really more sales focused. They are doing some of those activities of where they're going to do dials. They're going to call the leads on the day of the webinar, confirm their attendance. They're going to do some of those touch points themselves. A lot of our marketing folks will even double team live streams and webinars and content with the sales team or with the CTO or CEO. Again, just kind of because, hey, I'm a marketing person. I couldn't tell you what Galactic Scan does. And that's okay. I don't need to know how to do that. What I can do is tell you how we help solve your problem, what solution that we provide. So sometimes it's really good to double team as the marketing person with the sales team or CTO/CEO, and helping to kind of bring some of the stuff to the level that your ideal clients can understand. So Christina, we could really talk more about that. But I think it's having clear communication and having very set, like, okay, here's the things that marketing team owns. Here are the things that sales team owns, and then measuring that success through KPIs. And the core KPIs that I would be looking at are FTAs booked, so first time appointments booked, discovery calls booked, CSRAs presented, CSRAs sold, contract signed. So those are the 5 numbers that matter at the end of the day. And all of those go back to your sales pipeline back there.
Yeah. One thing I will tell you, Christina, is we actively work on this inside of our coaching program, both on the sales coaching side and on the marketing coaching side, and they jive together. So it really would be good to have some type of structure. More for you, honestly, than like your leaders should have that down for you guys. It's really important. So great question. I'm a big fan. Hendrik said, can I swap to your Wisecrack platform from Go High Level? Absolutely. We work together with them. We are a major partner of theirs. So I did give you my email address. So go ahead and shoot that to me. That's one thing that I'm heading up right now. So you can do that, Hendrik. Lance said, I'm nervous about taking on healthcare clients as it's new to me. Any advice to break into that market? I'd focus on a specific product. Note, I was we were into orthopedic clinics. They worked really, really well for me. They got doctors that are solid, a lot of money they charge. They need a lot of stuff. They also have very specific business applications that they work with, specifically around coding and billing and all these different things and client management. So I would focus on a vertical there as well. I also like rheumatoid arthritis was really good. Cancer treatment's really good. Eye surgeons are really good. A lot of money. Dentists are tough because they don't like to spend money and they typically don't have regulation. That's changing a lot, especially with the FTC safeguards and all this stuff now, because it's changing all these industries. So probably worth a separate discussion. So I would suggest booking a call. I'm going to have a call link for you guys to book, both you and Christine. Anybody here that's seeing it, that's worth it, but it's worth a discussion. Alan said, in the stack, what else is included besides endpoint protection? Big factor here that you said something that's really key: endpoint protection, training and monitoring. So a couple things. EDR is what you should be having: endpoint detection and response. Also, you should have training, should have monitoring. You also should have full MFA, you should also have a fully managed security operations center. I'll also tell you, less than 1% of MSPs are equipped to run their own SOC, their own security operations center, which means you should be partnering with some type of a firm. We partner with multiple. We have Citricom, we have Highwire Networks, we have ConnectWise, we have Kaseya, we have SpearTip, we have Sophos. All of these exhibit at our trade shows. We have like our Phoenix show. We're going to have all of them there. There's probably a couple that I missed in there. I apologize. Total also is in there. A bunch of them that are really, really good. They each have unique things that are very special about them, but you are not equipped to run a SOC anymore. You should be including a fully managed SOC and SIM in every single seat that you have, or you're going to be looking up the barrel of a compliance and regulatory gun at some point. So please be mindful of that. Many MSPs are skipping that completely, not because they need to, but just because they kind of don't know. So deeper stuff also probably on a booked call, Alan. Peter said okay, that was the thing I had before. Hendrik said blah, blah, blah. Hendrik said a really good thing. Times are changing. Practice what you preach. Thank you, Brandon. Really appreciate it. I've never had somebody call me amazing before, so that hits. Very nice. Okay. Brandon said we are forever evolving and the threat landscape has increased. We are bettering ourselves for your protection, and this is it. 100% agree. Now, how you deliver that is really difficult, and that's really important. Don said, can you please send that Chubb memo to me? Don, I'll see if we can share it. Right now it's in our clients only dashboard. So I'll see if we can share that for you. Just shoot me a DM, Don. Don knows me personally. So, okay, I'm going to keep going here. If you guys have any other questions, we'll address them as we go. Got a couple things as we go here. I'm going to talk about really quick before we get to our prizes, our 7-figure MSP Inner Circle coaching program. Here's a great example of one of our great success stories. Brian Wooster is from Bakersfield, California. Great example. My first no, that's we talked about how we do our first 3 no's and some of that stuff earlier. They were an hourly client, 16 computers signed to a 3-year deal, $2,000 onboarding and $3,500 a month. So somebody had earlier asked about this. Brian joined our coaching program August 24th of 23. First closed deal was in less than, 9 days? His first closed deal, I'm bad at math. No, that's more than that. It's like 16 days. But the bottom line, within 2 weeks, he had his first closed deal. Bottom line, 5 presentations in 4 weeks, 4 contracts signed, and a total of $7,800 in new MRR. He was a guy, and Lindsey, you got a chance to meet Brian when he came to our Los Angeles Road show, presented there. He was absolutely awesome in front of our partners and new prospects that we were talking to. But that's a great example of somebody that came into the program wondering, and he was a smaller MSP in Bakersfield with multiple large competitors that he's going up against. It's a great example. So our coaching program is our 7-figure MSP Inner Circle Elite program. It is a complete sales and marketing program to get you not only to a 7-figure year, but to 7-figure quarters and then 7-figure deals. That's what we want. I don't care if you're already a 7-figure MSP, that's great. But are you doing 7-figure deals? Most MSPs aren't, and we have them in our program. Here's what it all includes: sales and marketing coaching. You get our full double your MRR sales system. That's everything I was talking about with me and Cindy Phillips and Ryan O'Hara during our onboarding process. You get that sales onboarding live with all of us. You also get weekly sales open office hours to work through your deals, work through your problems. Those are 3 nights a week in multiple time zones. Again, this works in every continent in the world. Well, not Antarctica. Maybe Antarctica. I don't think there's anybody there. But you get my point. Every English-speaking country in the world, we have people in our program. Our 7-figure MSP marketing machine, led by the amazing Lindsey Badillo. Complete marketing onboarding process. She does this live. These are once a month cadences because it's very involved and it's very in depth. Lindsey, I know you just revamped that whole program. It's pretty awesome, yeah. Right? You also get weekly open marketing office hours with Lindsey and her team. She's got a team of coaches, so they go through all this stuff as well. You also get all these proposal, presentation, and agreement templates. So you get our full cybersecurity sales PowerPoint that is included, white label. You customize it and it's yours. You go sell the next day. Full cybersecurity sales proposal. This is a Word document. Again, white label. You get our risk acceptance letter. That is basically when you walk in the door to talk to an existing client and they're like, nope, I don't need this. Okay, that's fine. We don't have to do anything, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to tell you, here's what our stance is when you get breached. Drawing a line in the sand for them to say, okay, here's how we're going to handle a breach. Not going to upgrade everybody. I'm never going to tell you that. Probably going to upgrade 60%. But you are going to have 100%. If you do the stuff right, it's a big factor. If you do the stuff right, you'll have 100% insulation against problems. That's what's key. You also get our full MSA template. This is written by our attorneys. You also get our full cybersecurity incident response template included, along with discounted access to our ultimate MSP contract kit. That's all there as well. You get these structure pieces and tools. We give, people had been asking about assessment products earlier. We include a 90-day, 100-seat trial to Talivi, and then 50% off to our assessment product from 90 days on. So you get 100 seats included for the first 90 days. And then from that point on, you get 50% off. So it's $297 a month, which you should crush if you do your job. Like, that's all you have to do is do that. And you also get our hiring machine included to help you hire new staff as you grow. You get our full WiseTrack CRM. So Hendrik was asking about WiseTrack related to high level. You get that included along with training and coaching. So that product is included. All of our marketing campaigns, our email newsletter templates, our nurture software, and MSP website are all included with the program. So what's the next step? You guys saw all the stuff that's included. All this stuff here, got a big stack of stuff there, about $15K a month and change and growing every day, by the way. My special offer for you today, I know you spent literally 2 hours and change with us on today's call. Lindsey and I were talking a lot. We had a lot going on. We had a lot of really good questions as well. 12 months of our elite coaching program. Typically, month to month is $3,500 a month. Our 12-month kit is $1,750. But I don't know why this didn't change. Oh, you know what? I'm using your damn slide deck. That's why. Stuff, and then you overwrote me. We had a Black Friday special, but it's not Black Friday anymore. It's our 2024 special. I did have
January Black Friday.
It's Lindsey's fault. But I'll cut $250 off per month, and you get a special update of $1,500. So it's supposed to be $500. This got changed on accident. But you get $250 off per month, off the $1,750 to $1,500 per month. It is still a 12-month deal, but you have to book your call now. I think my links are going to be wrong in there now, too. I think you overwrote my
Oh,
links.
my gosh. I've screwed everything up.
Can somebody find me some new people? Lindsey's my favorite, for the record. I shouldn't say that out loud.
This week. I'm the favorite this week. We'll see who it is next week. I'm joking.
You guys saw all this stuff that's included, and we'll throw the link in the chat, and I'll throw it on screen. Yeah, that is the wrong link. Wrong link. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to book a call. I'll throw this in the chat.
New link in the chat.
Luckily, I know it.
After.
Yeah, I love it.
I'll
also throw it on the screen. I'll also throw it on the screen.
We did it at the same time.
There is your new link. If you want to sign up, you can sign up too, but that's your actual link, guys. Okay. So we're going to leave that up there for you. You can book a call. Please mention that you were on the webinar with me and you'll get a $50 gift card. You have to complete the call. But Chris, I don't know if this program will work. I'm nervous to commit. I think it's a scam, blah, blah, blah. Is there a guarantee? Here's a couple different things. First of all, we have a 90-day money-back guarantee on our elite program. If you participate in all the work, this is a key factor. You're not coming in and taking all my stuff and leaving. Not happening. We have too much stuff. It's too valuable. But if you come into the program, you do the work, and you say to yourself, I saw no ROI. It's just not worth it, or it won't work in my market. I'll give you your money back within full. I've never even had this requested because the program works. The big factor is I want to be in the best shape of my life, but I don't want to go in the gym. I want to be in the best shape of my life, but I refuse to eat. I want to be in the best shape of my life, but I don't want to do my steps. Mm-hmm. Can't blame the trainer. Same scenario here. So if you come into the program and do the work, you're going to succeed. It's that simple. Lindsey, you agree with that? Any thoughts on that?
No, that's everything that we've talked about today is doing the things that make us uncomfortable and doing them again and again and again. It's really not hard. I think it's doing the thing that the vast majority won't do, which is showing up even in discomfort. So that's why you invest in coaches that are there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We had this used so little, I added a second guarantee. If you participate in all the work and attend all the calls and do your first through 3 CSRAs, we handhold you through your first 3 client meetings in the first 90 days, and you do not make at least your monthly commit in new MRR. So if you pay $1,500 a month and you don't make at least that, I'll just write you a check for $2,500. It's that simple. That's also never been requested. That's how much I believe in the program. That's how much Lindsey believes in the program, because she comes out of her paycheck is what she don't realize. But also it comes out of Cindy's paycheck, but no, we all believe in this stuff so much that we put these guarantees behind them, because if you do the program, it works. And you got to do something. And my question for you guys coming out of this, if not this, what's your plan? Because you better have a plan moving forward. That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay. Since that link doesn't work because Lindsey changed it on me, I wonder why the SharePoint one didn't work. That was weird because I gave you the SharePoint link.
I don't know.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Sorry about the snafus. It's called a live webinar, guys. That's what it is. You just make it work and you make jokes and it's fun and nobody cares. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do to win our prizes. I'm gonna make Lindsey pick 2 people. First one's going to get a $75 gift card. Second one's going to get a $100 gift card. You have to put your corporate email in the chat for us if we call your name within like a minute. Here's what we're going to do. And I'm going to put a 1-minute timer. I'll put maybe 1 minute, 30-second timer on this. What's one thing that you took out of today's webcast that you can apply right now and make it work? Here's my timer going up. Start typing. What's one thing that you took out of today's webcast with Chris and Lindsey that you can actually make work and you can apply to your MSP right now? See what we got here. I'm going to start showing some stuff on the screen. Thank you, Lindsey. Brandon said the CSRA webinars. I love it. Good job. John said get a CRM. Tim said, keeps going so fast. Need to offer cybersecurity assessments. That's a critical one. Jay Allen said single stack. Rachel said, I will get a CRM. Here's a good one from Armand. Need to touch a lead tens of times. That's not a lot. I have a strategy, Armand, just so you know this. I chase you around the internet so much. You guys are on this call now. You're going to see my ads for the rest of your life because you're either going to buy from me or you're going to die. One of them is going to happen first. That's the rule. That's the rule. I chase you around so much. Bridget said, call all clients and do a CSRA assessment and make an appointment to go over. That's a great one, Bridget. I love that. Ray said risk mitigation. Peter said focus on a CSRA. Robert said wise track, and it's not going to be immediate, but it's a long game. This is a good one from Josh. Constant touch points. Alan said standardize. James said CSRAs. Right here from Robert, it all leads back to CSRA. Rachel said, I will very much focus on CSRA. David said how important it is to use the CSRA and understand the value of changing times to monopolizing the opportunity. Huge, man. Love that. Great response. Dan, going over the risk with each client. Kevin said, create your own list and don't buy a list. That's a big one, man. The best lists are built, not bought. Really big. Don said one offering. Lance and Lindsey, you better start picking your time. We are right now at time. So you got pick 2 people. I'm going to keep going here on this while you do that.
Right,
Lance said to look at contractor for IT, one offering. Jack said, although we can provide IT services, man, there's so many of these. Any industry, there's a lot of value in niching down and commit to at least 6 months. Andre said, reach out to prospects and clients and talk risk management first. Huge, brother. I love that. Nick said, time changes, so prices need to change. Great job. Side note, you guys are leaving over 50% of potential MRR on the table at every single client you already have. You can double your MRR right now just by going back to your existing client base and running the play. That's what we call it, running the play. All day. We have clients doing this all day. Rachel said, I will go over all potential risks with each one of my clients. Jacob said Apollo.io. Dave said all roads lead to CSRA. And our last one that we got in there, I will go over the risk with my clients. I'll create my own list and not buy a list.
Bam.
Okay, Lindsey, $75 gift card winner. Who you got?
Okay, so my first winner, I have Kevin Dreenan.
Kevin, congratulations, Kevin Dreenan. I think this is Kevin here. Create your list and don't buy a list. Kevin, please put your corporate email, your business MSP email in the chat. We will reach out to you and we will send you a $75 Amazon gift card.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm a big fan of this guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin. Okay, Kevin just commented. Kevin, please put your corporate email in the chat. Second one we got here.
Okay.
$100 gift card.
Ready? All right. I got Jack Watkinson.
Thank you, Kevin. Who was it?
Jack Watkinson.
Jack Watkinson. Here's Jack. Although we can provide IT services for almost any industry, that's a lot of value in niching down and committing to at least 6 months. Congratulations, Jack. You have won a $100 Amazon gift card from your friends over here named Lindsey, Badillo, and Chris Weiser. Congratulations on that. Please put your corporate email in the chat. Lindsey, can you do me a favor and grab both of those? Actually, I think I can take a little screenshot here quick.
Yeah, I got it right here.
I'm going to screeny shotty. Okay. Okay, got that. All right. I think we're in pretty good shape here. Thank you guys so much for coming today. Lindsey, any parting words from you? I know we are super long today. Sorry, guys.
I mean, that's kind of expected with us, to be honest. But yeah, I think, most important thing, get out there, take action. Just, you're going to be told no sometimes. It's okay. It's a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more numbers you get in the door. If any of you are in the Dallas area, we're going to be in Dallas in 3 days. So on Thursday, we're going to be there teaching a workshop.
Yeah, 3 days. Right?
3 days we'll be presenting. We'll fly in on Wednesday. We'll be presenting on Thursday. So come on, if you want to come to our huge 3-day live show, which are absolutely unmatched in strategy and energy and community. We're going to be in Phoenix the week of Valentine's Day. So come hang out with us in Phoenix. We have really cool guests. We're going to have our in-house legal counsel there offering a workshop. We've got coaches from Profit First. I'll be teaching marketing. You got Chris, of course. So our head sales trainer, Cindy, will be there teaching as well. So come on out to Phoenix also and come and see us. So
we got Roadshow in Dallas, literally Thursday at the Top Golf. That's how you register, mrr.sevenfiguremsp.com. We're going to be in New Orleans next, end of February. It's me and Lindsey on the road, chatting, doing very similar stuff that we do right now. But you get to meet us in person and hang out. If you do want to come to see us at the live event, here's where you can do that. I'm going to throw that in the chat really quick for you as well. Okay, there's that as well. There's your promo code and all that also.
Yeah,
there we go.
Awesome. And thank you all for hanging out with us today.
live.sevenfiguremsp.com. Promo code is RevGen. That is our Phoenix event. That is literally 3 weeks from tomorrow it starts. So you really would be there right now in 3 weeks. So,
yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys soon. My name's Chris Weiser for Lindsey Badillo, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.